Welcome back to the B stream here in Brazil. We're coming up, Tim, on another knockout game. It's been a day of slaughter. 8 teams going home across the day, and I'm sure this will probably be the last series of the day to determine which one of these two teams will be one of the final 2 going home. I'm Des. This is Tim. Tim, Wolves v Bliss. Where's your head at with this one?
I think I'm gonna have to lean into sort of popular belief, which would be I expect a Wolves win. But Bliss have shown us that they do have the capability to, you know, win those games. They beat Fury earlier, as we can see there. I bracket up in front of us. You know, they got a good 2-1 win. It wasn't easy for them. They had to fight through to get that one done. I just feel like Wolves is probably a step too far.
Yeah, I mean, Wolves did beat W7M, a team that, yes, have been a bit shaky throughout this competition, but you cannot ignore that they are the reigning major champions. And then, of course, seeing them lose to Sonics, that was no massive surprise because Sonics are quietly making a very big claim here to be the overall winners of this tournament. I think they now find themselves down in the lower bracket. And as you say, Bliss have had to battle their way through in what looked like it could have been a quick 2-0 earlier, going 7-0 on their first map. But then Fury did fight their way back in. And the thing is, these two teams are no strangers to each other either. We'll talk through that in just a moment, so you can see how things have gone so far today. Here is our schedule. It's been all 2-0s on the A stream so far. Almost a similar story here, but the team of the hour, the one we're talking about at the moment, Team Bliss, with that 2-1 over Fury, have meant things have run on that little bit longer. So, will we see another 2-1 repeat? Will it be 6 maps today for Bliss, Tim, or just 5 to play through?
Well, this is it. I think, as I say, I'm kind of expecting to for Wolves. I don't want to write Bliss off. You know, at the end of the day, they've got to this point, and teams do come through and make upsets. But when you look at a lot of those grade icons on the last graphic that we had, those are the teams that have gone home, and they're kind of the ones that you expected. We can have a look at the Team Bliss roster, names that we've become much more familiar with over the last week or so. They have so far done themselves proud. It's been great fun to watch them, and I'm sure nobody would have any complaints at their journey continuing. We always like an underdog to come through and surprise us, and these guys have shown us that they do have that capability.
What I like is now that we saw them across Atlanta and now we're seeing them at SI, they're kind of becoming that household name, right? They're becoming a bit of a staple from Oceania into the international scene. The only thing I'm worried about, again, is that we've seen certain teams bleed earlier on today. The APAC Sweethearts, it feels, fall down. And we're at that stage of the competition now where big teams are going home. You know, we've seen NIP do it. It'll be G2 or Liquid over on the other stream. There are no kind of there's not really a point anymore where it's like, they can squeak through 1 or 2 more days. I'm sure, no problem. There is no squeaking through anymore, not when the competition is this hot. Well, here's the French roster for you. Their opponents, it is Wolves, Deadshot, Mowgli, P4, Ibu, and Shinka. Last time these two teams played, actually, back on Clubhouse, they had an 8-7 game, and I was looking back at it. So many names went huge. It was Deadshot, Mowgli, and Shinka all hitting double digits. Wettables on the other side was going absolutely nuclear as well. So these two teams have a real history of proper throwing down against each other. It's going to be a really explosive game as a result. And for Wolves, they're eyeing up that next round matchup already.
Yeah, I mean, if you sat at home and this is, you know, maybe the first game that you've seen of Wolves, you've maybe not seen them before, who should you be looking out for? Deadshot and Mowgli have been the 2 sort of talismanic players through the tournament so far. They've had some big moments between them, and they are 2 real critical components of this Wolves team.
Yeah, but so much so, actually. I was looking at a few stats with Fresh earlier on, which we'll talk about in just a second, just so you can see where we're heading. We're getting a repeat of Clubhouse. Again, these 2 teams have already been here. That second map, really surprising for me. Oregon is Bliss's most hated map. They had not played it the entirety of 2023. Coming into this tournament, they played it against Space Station. They've lost it. And for Wolves, it is by far and away their favourite map. So I think looking at this, if Wolves get map 1, they take this 2-0 very comfortably. It goes to Consulate, it becomes anyone's game.
Yeah, I think looking at the map bans there, the immediate thing that springs to mind is, like you say, a little bit of concern for Bliss. I feel like coming against a team like Wolves, who've been at Tier 1 for as long as they have as a roster, playing default maps against them is going to be super difficult because teams like Wolves, they have to be proficient. You don't get to their level without having a good Clubhouse, a good Oregon, a good Bank, for example. You know, these maps that are going to come up over and over again. I feel like maybe, you know, if Bliss had thrown a bit of a curveball, maybe a Nighthaven Labs or something, you know, a border, try and just throw in something that's a little outside of the norm, they may have had a little bit more chance. It would have just thrown that little spanner in the works, so to speak. But we can see there the social vote coming in, and you are all thinking probably the same as we are that this is likely Wolves. 82 to 18%. Big favourites coming in for Wolves. But let us not write off Bliss. I'm going to say this very clearly before I have all the Australian fans coming for me, talking about how we're writing them off.
Well, careful, mate, because Dev Martin's arriving tonight.
Well, exactly. This is what was in my mind. There are two teams in every single server. We see plenty of surprises, plenty of upsets. It's what the game is built on. There is already teams gone home today that we wouldn't have expected to see leave at this point. Wolves, they need to be professional about this and make sure they get the job done.
Spot on. I was going to touch on another really important stat, and that is that Wolves have the second best defensive win rate at this tournament. 71%. That is a nuts figure to have. And you've got two of the worst attacking teams here in a matchup as well, both low 30s in terms of percentages. It's not particularly great for them. And I just worry, you know, Bliss, sure, it's your map pick coming into this, but you're starting on the attack and you've got to deal with Wolves. Man, not really something that I fancy, but as we keep on saying, something is no doubt going to hinge on this Wolves side on the performance of Mowgli and Deadshot. When one's been quiet, the other can stand up, but if both are offline, big questions start getting asked. It was a really fun stat that Fresh pulled out earlier. Of half the rounds that Wolves have played, Mowgli and Deadshot do not get a kill. When that happens, i.e. half of those rounds, they only win 12.5% of those rounds. If you need evidence that a team leans very heavily into their two frontline players of Deadshot and Mowgli, that's the stat for you. When they do not get kills, they win only 12.5% of rounds. But Tim, that's the tale of the tape. That's what the numbers will tell you. As you've said yourself, what really matters is what happens inside of each individual game itself. So let's get ourselves underway with the defense of the downstairs. It's Wolves on the defense, as we've said. And the scary thing is, Tim, yes, the two barrel's gone away. Not seen too many bans of that after the nerf. Solus, as I think as we've all said, can be an absolute nightmare for attackers to deal with. But it does leave Azami and Fenrir on the board, which can be so oppressive for attackers to deal with.
To be fair, I think, you know, we and everybody expected to see more of a presence for Tubarão coming on into a Six Invitational. We thought, you know, potentially there'd be a high ban rate, that he'd kind of ever present when not banned out, but it's just not really something that we've seen overall.
I think in a meta where, like,
we've had some good uses.
Yeah, whereas Army, Solus and that were a little bit weaker, then you would see him banned away a lot more. With that. But I think as it stands, even when he's been available, especially with the Kai pairing that is the most common, rather than Bandit and Tubarão, for example, even when that's there, teams still managed to find a way to deal with it. And I asked a few players, why is that? And their response really came back, is annoying, but not game-breaking in the way that we see Solus, that we see Fenrir, that we see Azami.
Fishigar going to be opening up the jacuzzi wall to kick things off. The site at the minute is Church and Arsenal. So it's top floor clearance that's coming along, but it's an interesting defence from Wolves. The reason that I sort of half hesitated in saying that, I'd already checked and written it down, but it's just the amount of utility that's been expended up on the top floor. We've got Azami up there. We've got at least three reinforcements that have been made up on the top floor, all to try and slow down this Bliss push. And it kind of says to me that Wolves have seen something in their attacks and think, no, we can slow them down here. We can burn as much time as possible, and that's what they're playing for right now. Deadshot just leaving a trail of goo mines behind him as he returns to the site.
It's not too bad. You've not wasted a whole ton of time, but the utility that you've drawn away, you've chewed through half of the attacking team's drones. You've pulled out an E1D. You've got rid of a phone call, a second one coming in here for Brendo as well. And everything that gets used around the map is not being used for the execute. So what Wolves are really doing is weakening the effectiveness of the execute from Bliss when it comes on through. So far, so good.
Just going to be tricking off a couple of those X-Kairos pellets to begin with as much as possible. They'll only be coming out 2 by 2, so it's not too much of a waste other than time for Sejon. But hey, the game of cat and mouse continues here. Bibu steps up. He will yet take another pair of these off, so it's going to leave likely only 6 at the most by the time we see them banned. One will not open, so he's going to wait. Bibu, smart player here, just going to wait for the next pair to come on. He will then take another 2 out, and it might just reduce their KP. He's going to take nothing out as Oda manages to find the kill to open things up.
Managed to get himself down the bottom of main. They've been so distracted with the impact trick that it's been like a golden opportunity to make things work. Gets a nade kill as well. Really opening this round up while Wolves are distracted with what's going on inside a kitchen. So at this point in a 5 versus 3, there is every chance to blitz their way forwards. However, that dynamic duo of Deadshot and Mowgli step up. Oda still on a nutty one though. Finds himself a 3 in the round. Still 2 more to bring down. Mowgli and P4 a few pixels away from this one, but Wedables has now got himself into a pretty dangerous spot. Rounds the corner, but just a bit too slow on that one. P4 punishes him to a second as well. Wolves will take round 1, but for a second there, French side must have been panicking.
You could have been forgiven for thinking that Bliss were going to come in and take that opening round. Did very well, particularly the opening kill onto BB, but orders progress down main stairs as well. Absolutely not scared at all. Wanted to get into the mix and did so. But Wolves, they held on very well. They showed us why they are one of the top defensive teams that we have seen so far at Six Invitational. Certainly not scared. They got themselves a couple of important kills, particularly in blue. It allowed them to focus on where the remainder of the push was coming from, and it was good stuff from the French side.
It was, and now we jump up to gym and bedroom, up on that top floor. And again, I imagine you're going to see this being a staple. Fenrir, Azami being brought up by the defenders time and time again, because both are just so oppressive in the current meta. A lot we spoke about them both to death, but the dynamic defenses that the Azami enables, the anti-rush functionality offered by the Fenrir. You walk into a room, suddenly you're nearsighted. Those at long angles are very comfortably going to win a gunfight against you. Well, it doesn't take a scientist to figure out how those rounds are going to end. Unsurprisingly, Wolves extended things out towards the east side here, a full reinforcement up onto red. Some teams would normally defend top red instead and leave one of these open as a rotation, chuck a shield there, put a warden behind it. Whereas here they're saying, you know what, we'll leave it off, we'll keep our defense quite narrow. Full reinforcements actually inside of Cash, so really locking themselves down inside of there and almost giving up and saying forget about the hold inside of CC.
Yeah, we've seen this a couple of times from Wolves. Deadshot will usually play in there in Cash on the Goyo, and will usually have some support. Previously, it's been Mowgli a lot of the time on the Azami from Construction, but this time P4 is going to be on the Azami, but it is still Mowgli who's on the Fenrir this time, who is covering from inside of Construction. So Deadshot, he's going to make it sort of as difficult as he can for them to come into Cash, and Mowgli's just going to offer that bit of a support. He can peek in, peek onto the door through to CCTV, use that open wall to try and get those angles as well. So it's a really nice partnership from Deadshot and Mowgli to hold on to that area without needing that extension into red stairs.
How long it's going to take them to break this one open? Know what's going on. They've got themselves inside of sight. They want the wall opened up, probably to force those longer angles and try and get Deadshot out, basically. Say, no, get yourself back towards destruction. No one's really holding the cross as such to punish him, and that comes to be. You've also got Otter playing in from below here on the books, so Deadshot really starting to feel the heat. Sure enough, needs to get out of the kitchen a little bit sooner. Will find himself going down. Not before, though. P4 has found a kill back onto the other side. So all things said, they've drawn a lot of time, drawn quite a bit of utility in, and still managed to walk away 1-for-1.
Not too bad. Mowgli has been forced back on the Fenrir as well. Brendo just looking to get aggressive onto Master Door here. A couple of more kills needed for Bliss before they can start thinking about getting Fisher Guy in with that diffuser. Smart move there from Brendo, just taking out the couple of Goyo canisters with 1 minute 20 left on the clock. They should be cleared with about a minute to go, so it gives them plenty of time to continue working once that utility has burnt itself out.
There we go. Trying to get themselves worked up.
Impact out.
Always want that control over towards the east to enable use of the south balcony, which they've now completely got. 2 players sat around here starting to open things up. One on construction door. Brendo, I was going to say, should easily find Mowgli there and does just that. But still, 3 players to find. It's a 4v3 team. 50 seconds to play is a lot of time, and already they're in and getting the diffuser down. There's a lot of time to react around the back of this. Who's going to step across? In fact, it's the boys themselves. It's Bliss taking full control here, getting rid of what they need to. And Shinka, try as he might. That's C4, my friend. It's about 10 seconds too late here. Getting pushed in, but the shotgun will find one. Still 2 players to bring down, though. Fisher Guy and Sage, both hanging off at the top of stairs here. Got these longer angles established. And Shinka, he's the man for it. We know what he's like in these clutch situations, though, Tim, but simply not going to be done. Sage has seen this one too many times.
Not a tough one for him. Bliss closing out. That was actually a really nice attack from Bliss. I've got questions over Mowgli being on the Fenrir. As I said at the beginning of the round, Mowgli previously, when I've seen it, I'm not saying it's been every single time, but for that hold, Mowgli has been on the Azami, and what it's allowed him to do is sort of place Kiba barricades on the stacks of lumber and challenge onto construction window, which is where Deadshot was taking an awful lot of grief from. And I think Mowgli was kind of just struggling to, you know, get involved in that from construction, and Deadshot was left on a bit of an island all alone, and it was really easy for Bliss to just close him out, get the kill, and push through and take take construction. And then obviously the rest of the push was then built on the back of that. That was the foundation that set them up to get in there. So I feel like I prefer what Wolves have done previously by having the Azami stationed in construction, because it kept Deadshot alive for a lot longer. For example, when Cash Wall was opened by the Selma at the beginning of the round, previously it's been possible to just put a Kiba over the top of that and give Deadshot that bit of extra cover. But again, this time he was just awfully exposed in there.
I'm always nervous about this, Tim. When I see the Chanka come out, I'm just like, you know, it's cool and all. I know we've seen so many changes to Chanka come in to try and make him more viable, but there's a reason why most teams don't bother. Like, yeah, fantastic at opening walls. Like, cool, Smoke can do that with the shotgun. The Gadget's problem for me has always been about denying a small area of ground, and not denying players trying to run through it, because that is still very possible, but it prevents a plant going down. Whereas here, for me, that isn't really the objective. It's much more about stopping Bliss from moving through a certain area of the map. It's about delaying them. That's the whole reason why you've got Bandit to lock up walls. It's why you've got things like the Azami to give them loads of problems to solve. The same story with the Fenrir. So I'm just always a little bit uncertain when I see teams leaning into this when a smoke is available. But that is exactly what Wolves have gone for here. Fitz coming in, and they get rid of one. But the other side will get opened up. There's good play from Bliss to make sure they can guarantee this wall is opened up. Selma's on one side, Exothermic on the other, and Bibu can only trick one of them.
Yep, making some good progress early in the round. Again, it's something that they've done well over the first couple of rounds that we've seen. They're certainly not scared. They don't move slowly. They get in there and they get involved. Fisher Guy certainly wanting to bully P4 up on the top of the catwalk here. I don't know exactly how that Kiba barricade's been positioned. I think, yes, it should be overhanging enough to prevent the Monty from being able to walk up and past potentially without it being knocked out. So that could be a smart play if that is the case from P4. We'll only know. No, it's not. It doesn't. I thought it was overhanging the stairs. But no, he hasn't been able to position it quite far enough over. But what it does is give him a lot of freedom to potentially get aggressive onto those stairs. But for now, Fisher Guy is just feeding that information in. He's waiting for Sergion to get in underneath and to start to pressure P4 up on the catwalk.
With the red ping coming on in more than anything else, you're bringing out them level of pings when you want to try and make something happen, just to give away the exact location of the defender. You got Brendo on the hard cross. The problem is, though, Tim, they're investing a lot of time in trying to get control of Garage here, but not really coming on in. C4 down below is great onto Sage. Removes the man that was applying pressure underneath, and now Fisher Guy is all alone. They're going to need someone to come over and cover, and by the looks of it, it's going to be Wettables. Not really a go-to player that you pick out when you think about trying to clear things through a Thermite. Not really designed for that purpose. A flash does come up, but the feet of Fisher Guy being exposed for a second enables P4 to force him away once again. Mowgli into another, and Bliss struggling to even get started with step one in this attack here. A great drop over the top. Wolves retain full control of Garage. Oh, does that all by himself, and he can do nothing. Wolves with a flawless round 3.
Really nice defense from us. Bliss just made no progress in Garage whatsoever, and it was due to the teamwork coming out of Wolves. You saw the Nitro over the top from Bibu, which prevented the pressure onto P4. Mowgli then gets involved, finds himself 2, including taking the Monty down. P4 is then able, as you see there, to go over the top rope with a big elbow onto the Thermite, take him out of the round, and just makes it all very difficult. And it was those 3 players working in tandem together that just did a fantastic job of keeping hold of that catwalk. Wolves, they lock down a second, and they won't mind that. A 2-1 quarter, 4-2 half potentially on the defense. They'd love 5-1 if they can get it, but 4-2 is kind of that benchmark that they're going to be looking for.
This imagery gives me like a wrestling match, hearing about him over the top rope and this elbow drop onto the Thermite below, pounding him 6 feet under. Beautiful. It was a little bit that, though. It's a little bit too comfortable for them. And we were talking about this a bit in the green room yesterday about, you know, seeing more potential Capital bans coming out on this map, and it's because of how effective it is at taking control of Garage. So on the Cash CC site, it becomes really hard to hold things down. But obviously here, not quite part of the wheelhouse for Bliss, not even opting to bring it along. However, Tim, we are seeing something quite fun coming along. It's going to be the fuse for Brendo. Seen this a couple of times, looking more to get inside a kitchen and inside a hallway and essentially force all defenders away from below. A really smart adaptation, I feel, when Wolves have been doing a lot of impact tricking on towards the Hibana X Kairos. Now, obviously in this round, there are only 4 of the impacts that you can see on the right-hand side of your screen rather than the 6 that we had before. but it's all about that time-wasting tactic. The fuse will help them make a lot of inroads inside of that basement.
I think Brando just got a little bit lucky there not to find himself losing his life. So there's a number of things that Brando can do here with the fuse. As you've said, you can go in there, put one down actually next to the hatch, on the hatch, and just prevent anybody from playing underneath, much like you see in here. Alternatively, you've always got the option of using it for those vertical angles as well, because there is a little bit of a limitation on the soft breach. They've got a lot of soft breach charges to work with, but they need to make sure that they're not losing anybody on them. So sometimes pop a fuse charge through the window, it'll blow out the kitchen floor. It's another option as well, but I think we're likely to see him trying to get the kitchen hatch with it, surely. I have one more remaining, and surely going to be to support the hatch going after last time with the trouble that they had. Yeah,
very surely inside the kitchen for that one. It wouldn't really make sense otherwise. At least they know there's a Valkyrie camera and where it's stationed. IQ on side, the respect being shown by Oda for that exact purpose. Bibu's got no choice here but to get away from the danger as the hatch is now opened up and can electrify that triple wall. Again, a small change this round. That has been fully closed off because they were very aware of Oda's charge down main stairs last time up to that triple wall. The 3K that he netted off the back of it shouldn't really see the opportunity open up again here.
Starting to see those impact tricks come out. We don't have the fuse supporting the getting of the kitchen hatch, but it will indeed be got, I'm pretty sure, somewhere in there. Soft breach charges are being used by Sage now to open up that floor, give the vertical angles, and I think that Bliss are looking pretty good here. 1 minute 10 left to go. All hatches open. That's not ideal, though. P4 manages to come down and get a double. They've missed him, Des. They've not picked up on the Valkyrie, and that is a big mistake from Bliss.
Real stinger as well, because they've been so good and diligent at getting rid of the Valk cams themselves, but of course, for there to be Valk cams, there have to be a Valk somewhere, and if you can't see her on site, she'll be causing trouble. And speaking of trouble, Tim found himself now right above this hatch. This is a real undoing of all the work that Bliss have done to get ready for this round. P4 makes it a 3. But with that vertical, he denies any kind of drop, and all Brando can do is look on from blue stairs like, well, guys, that's not a very good Aussie accent. Team, what do you want me to do now? I'm sort of stuck. I'm waiting. I didn't actually try to do one, but I was like, you know what, I'll remark now that it's not an Aussie accent. I promise you it's a British one.
Gus and Xenox are just waiting for you to get back to the green room.
I mean, thankfully, our audio isn't on the other games on.
They want a word. Mowgli is going to pick up Brando.
That's about as far as we get, I think. Now, you got to do your French accent now.
My French accent is very good. Leo complimented me yesterday on my pronunciation.
I'll tell you what I'll give Carter really high props for his Lasergates impression.
Very, very good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I will also say, anything beyond Lasergates, it goes suddenly downhill. But he must have been practicing those 2 words particularly, because I will be generous, and I'll give him a 7.5 out of 10.
I gave him a 7 out of 10, see. So I'm glad that we released a line now thinking, but we were sat here and I was like, right, are you ready to do your best Tim impression when we were casting earlier in the week? And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, when we go to overtime, you've got to say the phrase. And he was like, what, Lasergates? I was like, no, we're going to overtime, Des. Come on, man. He's got more than one catchphrase. It was brilliant.
Honestly, I don't know. Kids nowadays.
Well, Bliss are down 3-1, as you can see on your screens. It's not been the ideal start for them. We've seen quite a number of teams actually take tactical timeouts at this point. If you're down 3-0, it always comes in then, if not a little bit sooner. Some teams today taking them at 2-0, but at this kind of point, when you know you need an attacking round or 2 on the board, this feels like the sort of opportune moment. Instead, going to hold on to that one, and we're going to see this extended hold again out towards the east side. Identical setup. Full lockup of cash, and it's going to be, can they get Deadshot out? What are you chuckling at now?
I've just realised, you know, occasionally when just in my natural speech a really northern phrase comes out. I've just realised that I've just said a really northern phrase that a lot of people internationally especially probably have no idea what I meant. I said nowadays.
Nowadays.
Nowadays means like, you know, these days.
That's not a northern thing. That's quite a common thing in the UK.
Is it common UK? I thought it might just be my sort of region.
No. We're talking nowadays all the time.
It means these days for anybody watching who is like, what is this on about with nowadays?
Yeah, there's a phrase there. I imagine most international viewers would understand that one.
Oh, dear me. 5 versus 5 then, still in round 5. It's going to be gym and bedroom attack.
Oh, the placement
time! Absolutely beautiful from Bibu. Bibu, yes! As he goes in, just launches that nitro out of the breach and finds his man. Fisher Guy has been able to wander into the shower, though, and he's giving him a bit of a rinsing inside a side, but Bibu comes in and shuts him down. 3 3 versus 1. Brendo, they know where he is. He's trying to have a little workout in the gym, but the only workout he gets comes from Mowgli with the Nitro. Beautiful stuff from Wolves, and that's going to be another successful defense.
Well, trying to speedrun the round apparently there didn't quite work to success. It's a remark I've made throughout the tournament a good few times. Attacks will be fast. They will be frantic because you can't afford to sit and just chew through layers and layers and layers of defensive utility. Love this C4 from Bibu, though.
The timing.
The best thing is he got the blitz, and the blitz was really the tip of the spear for that attack. He was the X factor almost to make things really work for them. Just nice, smart stuff.
That sort of timing only comes from doing that 1,000 times over.
You know what it comes from? It's from being Wolves and attacking in exactly the same way and knowing what teams are trying to do.
I just mean, even the physical, mechanical, like, understanding exactly when that wall is going to disappear so that the Nitro is basically about to hit the wall, it disappears and through it. It's just beautiful. Absolute poetry from Bibu. Fantastic stuff.
Sender. Once again, we're going to see this attack, though, onto Cash and CC. Remarked about the Chanka earlier on. Clearly, it's very much part of Wolves' playbook here, with it coming out for a second time. Chinka last time found himself positioned at the top of red, so able to deny, no doubt, onto the catwalk if required, able to do so in towards construction, able to even do so onto the breach. Lots of things that he can do from there and do it many times over, although again, it's only good at denying a small static piece of land. You can afford to run over it, and you won't take heaps of damage, just enough that you may well find yourself dying in a bullet or two less. Last time round, Bliss really got stuck inside of the garage, though. I'll tell you what, that's another fun one. Sometimes I say garage, sometimes I say garage.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. I noticed this a few years ago, and I noticed that it was the more that I'd played with sort of American and US friends.
Honestly.
That I kind of just slipped into it to be polite. It was just like, I'd just say garage, you know, rather than garage.
Oh my God, guys, in the garage.
And it was just like, because that's what everybody was saying. It just, you just sort of slip into it and it fits. And I feel like within Siege, we do use quite a few of like the American pronunciations for things like that.
Don't even get started on the debate around ground floor, first floor, all that kind of malarkey.
That I will not back down on. It is ground floor. Ground floor is where the ground is. First floor is after the first flight of stairs.
The thing is, I get the argument because the ground floor is technically still the first floor in a building.
Yep, but no. I refuse to accept it.
But no.
It's ground, first, second. Basement. Below.
Oh, Christ on a bike, man.
Just to clarify, I wasn't saying that basement's on top of second. I'm not, you know.
We're not that backward in the UK, I promise. You hear that kind of stuff down in Aussie. That's how it goes down there. Down goes Bibu. At least not out yet, but at least put onto his backside in the doorway. But now should be able to get recovered once he's a bit more safely inside of Cash itself. And P4's the one really tucked in the corner of sight still. Able to do a little bit of work. Could keeper off one of these sides of the breach if he wanted to. Chinka's going to find himself finished out there, and that's the Chanka gone Tim, one of those critical ones. But guess who? It's Deadshot into a couple of kills, and Mowgli is still running around. Going to find himself in another firefight with Sage, who almost goes down. Wetables now in trying to look for his man. He's going to find him as well. Is this going to be that sort after second round? It's down to a 2v1. 2 flashing health bars as well. A single shot onto Sage will be enough. But you could argue the same for both P4 and Bibo on the other side.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy close out for Serge here. He's at least got that RQ scanner, so he can pick up some gadgetry if he needs. There's nothing that he needs to worry about in terms of traps or anything that you know that may not be visible. But he, for the time being, is just going to be taking these angles. The biggest problem he's got is that he's against 2 very smart players, P4 and Bibu. They're not going to peek this on low health. They know they don't need to. They're just going to wait for him to move in. There you go, P4. You know, the patience from Wolves there. They are just waiting on that ADS, waiting for him to come in. A great art from Wolves, 5-1. I think Bliss, they could maybe have had another round. A 4-2, I think, wouldn't have been too wild. I think that would have been probably a fair reflection as well. But Wolves, they've certainly earned their 5-1. They're looking good.
It comes back to everything that I said at the start around stats, right? 2 of the lowest attacking win percentage teams here in this matchup. And you've also got Wolves, who have got the second highest defensive win rate of 72% coming into this. So 5-1 half, honestly, not all that unexpected. 4-2 if nothing else would have brought that percentage down for Wolves. So instead, boosting it ever so slightly. But now we get to see Bliss on their defense of their own map pick, and it's on Wolves to figure things out.
We'll see just how successful Bliss can be on the defense. I think really they could do with round 7 and 8 going straight in the bag. Their first and second choice rounds, sites rather. I like Wettables on the R6. It's bringing something a little bit different. Get those hatches opened up. Let's get a little bit of vertical transfer as well for the R6. Just really keep them guessing. Let them... There you go. Thank you very much. Let them clear out that top floor. Let them draw on it. Let them think it's, you know, safe. And then get yourself back up that hatch and get working around. I like this from Bliss. They're certainly not, you know, cowering inside a site because they're 5-1 down. They're happy to get out there in the map, take a little bit of a risk, bring the R6. I think it's good.
Really comes down to me is how effective they are then at stopping Wolves going fast when they realise that 2 or 3 players aren't on site. And this is the problem. Look, literally, as I say it, I speak it into existence. 2 or 3 players walking their way down main stairs. Already found one in the back, but that was a saving swing from Otter. Wow. Man has kept his teammate alive, but Mowgli's in. He's found 2. Wolves have got full control of the site already. And it's going to be a bit of a battle back now for the side of Bliss to get on site and stop this one going through. Shinka still with another call in back pocket as well. They've still got so many tools to play out this post. Planty hits him, and straight on the doorway there, Shinka finds himself 1, but down to a 2 versus 2. The Aussies may well have pulled this back, Tim.
Could have done, but Mowgli with an important kill onto Brendo. Just gets the flashbang out, finds the last inside of blue, and just when you think Bliss might be able to run it back, up steps that man Mowgli. Not only did he put the diffuser on the ground, he got the final 2 kills as well to close things out. It was a nice push from Wolves, just recognising the space was there. I'd, you know, waxed lyrical at length about Bliss having this top floor and being willing to play aggressively, but the problem was that it was too much of a focus for them. They took their eyes off the prize, which was inside a sight, and they've let Wolves walk on in there. It was unfortunate because you thought that Oda might have just broken the back of it when he got that kill onto P4, but no, it just wasn't enough. Mowgli went in, carved his own path. I think he ended up on a 4K.
Yeah.
Shinka with the only other one. Great round from Mowgli.
Great round from the team overall. Like, I commented on it at the time, but when you've got 2 or 3 players in the room, if a team drones that out and just goes, okay, we know what's going on here, we're now going to rush. You can see exactly what it's going to turn into. And for Wolves, I was looking at the drone count and just thinking, okay, then, well, how many drones are they losing here in the prep base? Are they figuring out there are players upstairs? Are they seeing that site is empty? They lost no drones at all during their prep base. So either that screams, we're much more trying to protect our angle into site. We've got them down main hallway, for example, and bottom of main, and that is it. Or they've actually gone downstairs and figured out, okay, actually, there's only a couple of players here, and we haven't got to worry about losing drones. There's no Solus to worry about, for example. She's banned away, and 2 players aren't going to be able to pick off too many. Either way, they read into the situation extremely well and capitalized. So Bliss here, I think you'll find them being fair whack more cautious, Tim.
They are already. You can see all 5 of them pretty much back down on site. Brendo is the only one, you know, with any sort of roam game to his name, really, and that's basically stood at the top of blue stairs, so not really too much of a roam order, just giving a little tickle on main stairs as well, but I don't think it's going to take much at all for these 2 Bliss players to be forced back. Wolves, I like what they're doing though. There's no presumptions being made here. They've droned out the top floor. They're going in, taking ground, and they're going to start moving down to the mid floor. As you can see, they've got players just scarpering ahead of them there. Oda not wanting to get too involved in that gunfight, wanting to keep a numbers, not advantage, but at least keep the numbers up towards the end of the round. And then, I like this from Deadshot, just going to be working at distance with that skeleton key. If you keep getting nitroed in your ranked games, consider taking that one away. Get yourself one into logistics. You can do it from up there, and you're nice and safe.
Open up absolutely everything, and you also don't mean that you get a defender taking control of stock and shooting everything out, or Logi, sorry, and shooting out everything from above, as we saw Wolves doing on their defensive half, and just denying Kitchen away from the side of Bliss entirely. But now at least they have got this full floor control. They've got everything they need here, Tim, in terms of setup. Based on that last round, no massive denial coming out the other side. Even bottom main is fully in the French side's control right now. So they're really dictating exactly how this is going to play out. On the side of Bliss, I can see a couple of players sat inside of Church. You've got one out in blue, one in Arsenal, one playing inside of Dirt right now. So very standard in terms of setup. No one really playing deep Arsenal, so not playing too close, which means bottom main actually is quite exposed, and Wolves could look to make use of that.
Wolves are doing a great job of clearing utility here as well. You just see the nade being dropped in to clear the FNAT that was covering the Moto drop. If they get, I was just going to say, there's no wall denial either, so there's a real opportunity to open up the bottom of this Church wall, which really makes it difficult for for Bliss then to play inside of there. That's exactly what BB's going to do, and Mowgli goes at the same time. You see the beauty of the Kiba barricade being taken out by the Gon 6 to enable the opening kill for Mowgli. Deadshot goes in and gets a double, and this is surely a slippery slope for Bliss now. 2 versus 4. Wolves are just running all over them in the basement, Des.
Trying to do what they can, but couldn't quite complete the kill. Still got the numbers advantage. You got Deadshot then, holding on Moto. Fisher Guy coming in close, finds his man, and the Diffuser goes down as well. But I was going to say the hatch. They were exposed to the hatch, and P4 has held there for the majority of this round. Wettables can now watch main, but 2 have dropped in towards Moto. He's got to win something here. He finds 1. It comes down to just 1 more. Sees him at range, and Bliss and kept in the game by Wettables.
Such an important 1v2 there, showing some real prowess to hit that headshot behind the bar. Mere pixels that were available. Absolute beauty coming in from the Australian side to hold on to that one. But boy, did they need to hold on tight. Wolves were throwing everything at it. And just, I commented on it at the time, the beauty of the teamwork coming in. I don't know who was, I'm pretty sure it was a Gon 6. That was what it sounded like. Just as the Kiba barricade dropped for Mowgli to push in and get the kill onto Brendo. It was just fantastically worked from them, and it's actually going to trigger, despite getting the round, a little Bliss timeout. They've decided they're going to have that chat and see if they can string together another couple of rounds.
You were right. It was that Gon 6.
Gon 6.
Gon shit.
Gon 6.
It's gone to shit.
That might have been what Brendo said.
It's all gone to shit. No, they had the Gon 6 in behind of the butt, because then he immediately switched over to his gun. And it's that Mowgli and Deadshot pairing that's really tickled you, that one. Gon 6. I don't know what the hell was going to come out of my mouth then, to be honest with you, Tim. Sometimes that just happens. But no, immediately it was Deadshot switching over. And what you've seen time and time again in this game is Deadshot and Mowgli as a pairing, just stepping through on these entries. It doesn't matter if it's up on the roam together. They've always kind of got each other's backs. So if Mowgli falls, Deadshot is immediately there to capitalize and keep the ball rolling. And just as a dynamic duo in this game, it's super, super impressed by them both.
Right, we're going to see a top floor defense. It's been 2 basements so far for Bliss in round 7 and 8. They are successful at the second attempt. So this time it's going to be up to gym and bedroom. And I'm interested to see what they do here, whether they try to keep hold of red stairs or not. They do have the Warden on side. We've got 2 rotates. We've got 3 rotates. I'm just watching the top down. You will see shortly. Brendo just finishing off that wall. So there is no rotate back from the top of red, which would suggest that Sage will not be playing there on the Warden. So they're at least going to give up that little bit of space to Wolves. Wolves, oh, look at this. It's hard breach central, Des. They've got 3 of them on board. Hibana, Ace, Thermite, all there. They're going to get themselves almost certainly into CCTV quickly. They're going to open construction wall. I'd expect them to maybe open a little bit of top red. Certainly CCTV through to cash. Jacuzzi, you pick a wall, Des. They're opening it.
You'd hope so, for sure. The instant response on the other side.
Thatcher as well.
I was about to say, kill Thatcher. That's the way that you win this round as the defenders. They've got quite a lot to deny with, mind you. You're looking towards the Bandit. I'm looking towards the Mute. They're going to be really critical in this defense, and at least with how things are spaced up so far, it's not too far off how Wolves defended. It's looking at keeping Cash completely closed off and having a player inside of there. They've got double mute jammers down on the triple wall in there, for example. Everything is about trying to slow Wolves down. Wolves seem quite happy to engage with that, given their comp they've brought along. It's not a hit site fast and hard style comp, but they've really kind of said forget about trying to take Cash for now. Instead, opening up the single wall, probably going over towards the west breach, and that will be enough for them.
Now they do have some soft breach options as well. P4 does have the soft breach charges, so with that wall not being reinforced, they could take that choice. I can tell you that Bliss is still stacked pretty heavily over this side. There was 3 until a few seconds ago when Brendo returned to site, but we do still have Wettables and Oda over this site trying to hold on. It's in fact going to be the Flores drone that will do the soft breach work for us. Oda, I bet he snuck away here, Des. I'll bet that Wolves aren't aware of this. Out goes a goo mine, and that's going to give him every bit of information he needs if Wolves try to push in here. This is a real litmus test for Wolves' drone in.
Oh, that is cheeky. But they were so aware. And he still finds Bibu and drops down into the basement, slips away. What a kill to find as well. I think the Wolves already opened up, and we've already commented, Tim, there are so many hard breaches in the round, it doesn't matter that much, but you're taking off a critical gun here as part of Wolves' attack.
Great stuff from Oda there. I think Wolves just failing to pick up on him, and he took his choice. You either wait for the flank or you go for the big peak to kick things off. And boy, as he kicked things off, Bibu down. As we say, at least one of those exothermics had already been used on construction wall. I don't think the second had been used, but the Selma Chargers will do just as good a job of the wall there. I think even bathroom wall's been got as well. So it's very difficult inside of sight. But I tell you what, they don't mind. They just say, right, instead, you want to make it difficult inside of sight, we'll come and have a little look out of the windows. We'll get aggro. Fisher guy holding his position on the rotate. Well, P4 down. This is all going in the direction of the Aussies at the minute, but Mowgli spins on a dime and slams Wettables inside of CCTV. Beautiful stuff from him.
I've said it so many times over. You give some teams half a second, they'll take an absolute mile. Mowgli making a 4 to close out the map. Absolute screamer of a performance. 16 kills across 9 rounds, and the French team dominate the Aussies here on Clubhouse.
Mowgli won that round, I think it is fair to say.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic play there. But, you know, Wolves on the whole have impressed me. They've come out and they've won those rounds. They've done exactly what they've needed to do. They've recognised when there's been space. They've gone in and taken it. They've been aggressive. They've been patient at the right times. They've played a good game, a good roam game with P4, for example, in that round. Mowgli's had some huge moments. I'm thinking Church Attack where he gets kills. 4K putting the diffuser down as well. Another 4K in the last round there. Just great stuff all round from Wolves.
28 and 8 between Mowgli and P4.
Yep.
Absolute domination from those two in that game. I know we were talking about Deadshot and he had a couple of rounds, but P4 and Mowgli, take a bow. I think I'm with you. Basically solo gone on to win that. And my concern even looking forward now, going into Oregon, Wolves' favourite and most successful map versus one that Bliss have not played all of last year. They played it once, only against SSG at this competition, and lost. What does that say about their chances coming in? It's going to be rough. We're going to a quick break. When we come back, map 2 awaits. Interview.
A lot to play with, and a kill from Doki, but not the other.
Almost swung around either side, but again, this game from Liquid, they are making sure that every loose player has at least 2 of the Brazilians either side of them. It's a 3 versus 3 with a minute on the clock. They're still trying to aim an angle their way. You look at what they've lost, and it's maybe the herald of an A push and maybe the design towards the B, but with Hard Breach, with Dockerby for some crowd control, and with the IQ, they have a great selection of guns and a little bit of utility for what is going to be the swing on towards the site itself. But the concern here is that verticality. 2 C4s and a pulse. All the intel that they can utilize to build behind anything that is attempted on the second story. It's turning into a little bit of a nitmare here for Liquid.
Virtue missed them though. Luckily, Uno was watching the hatch because they all were rotating around when he was watching the opposite side of it. They did not know where they are. Now the Nitro is going to be prepped as the plant is being attempted. Uno gets shut down as Reset pushes in.
2 versus 2 at this point, and they pulled off the kit. They find a kill though. Virtue swung his way up. They look away at the worst possible second. They don't have the connection. Resets through the wall. I mean, Liquid, they read it perfectly, knew where they needed to have a player and sort of said, look, you stay up there. I'm going underneath. I have a couple of G2 players and my bullets have their name on them.
I will say it is a very ballsy move from G2, like Hap mentioned at the start of the round, to take this split site to play on. It's beautifully set in the way that it is. You're playing the vertical. You're also getting a trade kill every time. You get 1 kill and then you get refract. It's okay. It's fine. You keep that amount of those numbers for you to use. But the ability of Resets to drop down here on the Habana, get the first kill, and get into position to close down the second is beautiful. That's why this site is so tricky to play, because and went with a pulse solo, because you need to get the intel and then use the Nitro cell. You need someone to remain with you. And I feel that in the round, the Fenrir didn't really get to do what they wanted to in slowing things down and cutting off those line of sight.
I think that G2 might have gone a bit too aggressive there when it was the 3v3 situation. They saw someone coming down from Spiral, they tossed the Nitro cell rather than holding the close angle. The post was going up the staircase as well towards the upper side rather than playing it below, guiding the Nitro cell with the cardiac sensor. So you basically left your teammate there in a 1v2 situation. I think if they played that a bit more passively, not that that's a G2 playstyle, quite aggressive, but they might have been able to bring it across the finish line in that case.
We might be about to do a little bit more Brazilian Brazilian juggling, which is when you juggle a Brazilian in and out of a window on a second story for a bit to try and play against utility. Reset will be the one that steps into the shoes that Alamau had pretty brilliantly before, but Volps doubling down on the blitz. I mean, it was successful until it suddenly wasn't, but you could have made it perfect, and they'll know that more than anybody else. So instead, they'll see if they can try and lead with that iron flashy fist.
What do you do now with the Amaro? We saw how G2 were able to utilize the operator themselves of just trying to baiting for a plant. Can Resets pull something off in the same way, or does he have another game plan?
He's either going to be playing this from below and go up the hatch, or he's waiting for the blitz to make a good move, but as he goes in, it's just complete shutdown from G2! Only Palu left! There's only been 10 seconds gone since the first kill. And he's looking like, team, where are you? Why are you all dead? What happened?
That is when Brazilian juggling goes bad and you unfortunately get in, but you have already exploded. They've thrown the utility and timed it well with your push. And that is, in a way, the negative thing about the E1D, because if the defenders don't care...
There it is.
If the defenders don't care to be spotted, then they'll know that that sound means they're about to try something. So let's just throw our C4s, pop our Goyos, play against it. We'll either waste it to an E1D or we'll waste an entire team.
It's like when some teams and some players will do it. This is like a great reaction. It can backfire, of course, but you're in a kind of dead or maybe I'll die a bit later situation. Somebody's flashing you. What do? Do you sit back and just take it and die 2 seconds later? Or do you just say, you know what, they're going to pop the flash, I see the flash coming at me, I'm going to fire, and hopefully I can get something. We saw that on Clubhouse, I think, yesterday, and it played out wonderfully. In this case, everybody collapsed in, and then everybody was just vacuumed immediately out and vacated out of console.
I think he's saying I'm having a great time playing Rainbow Six Siege with you all.
I love Rainbow Six.
I love Rainbow Six Siege.
In Portuguese.
In Portuguese.
Now,
I think that's what's being said. I don't speak very good Portuguese, though.
A big thing about these top 4 executes we usually have is the Ying, but that got removed in the bans, of course, because usually what you see is a lot of flashbangs being tossed out, which makes it so only the Warden has the opportunity to take the fight. The other thing you then do is toss out those C4s, but that's the bait that goes with it. Candela goes out, there comes a C4, Candela goes out, another C4, and then he can go for a plant. That's not going to be there now.
It is that interesting ban removal as well of the mute that was played by Liquid here, how much of a problem they think that would have been towards this map and this hold. Sure, it's a limitation on the drone game, it's a limitation on a game that I said they did very well, but there's several ways for a team of these two teams' caliber to stop against that game, to play against that game. So maybe it's a focus on walls or just, you know, some of that utility drive that is mute the best option to take out of this defense? Time will tell.
I mean, the mute gadget is not as strong as it used to be.
Yep.
You could block out the entirety of like yellow stairs in the past. No, obviously, we're many years beyond that at this point. But if Liquid deem it that, hey, maybe this is something that's blocking us out, maybe it'll just deny our drones, that's something to think about. What I did like is Volp swapping from the Buck off to the Ram. They got the droning in, they got the intel, hey, we're gonna need more vertical top down, so let's just bring the Ram, it'll open everything for us. But you do need that top 4 control, and you need to avoid nitro cells being flung at you.
Heavy roam game, though, from the side of G2. Only 2 players are currently on the site. The rest is playing around that first floor, which, of course, directly leads into the verticality that is going to be playing into the site itself. And as long as they can just stay out here and support one another, Liquid might be up for a bit of a surprise, because we saw some misinformation in the last round. If they miss information again this time, they're going to be in trouble.
Well, there's the grenade that they for a second wanted to swing into, but they're in a position where they just clear utility. There is a dangerous game. Trying to jiggle peek Nesk usually doesn't always go your way, and they have realized that. Pull back instantly. Nesk with the lockdown on the roam. It's a double down as well with the Nomad. They're going to make sure that their site is focused and driven. They have bodies above and bodies below. And Doki, how long are you going to sit here in a situation that becomes thinner and thinner as time goes on? Banja's behind the desk, and Alamau is behind. Nesk gets the take. Doki gets Volps as well. In and amongst the chaos, they've been able to take a couple of bodies and fight for the trouble. I said don't always peek on that swing, but Doki takes out resets. There's Benja. He's sort of saying, I'm sorry, mate. I don't have your ticket. You've got to go elsewhere. This desk is closed. Look at this.
Flawless again, back-to-back flawless that we're seeing from G2 here. And again, the heavy roam game out there, and they're just winning those gunfights, leaning into it, not being afraid to back down, but then lean back in twice as hard.
And that's the heavy roam, is that it seems like G2 are baiting Liquid into a position where they feel they're comfortable. So whether they do, hey, we're playing all the way at the bottom, sure, you could take the top floor, use your RAM, take your time, because we don't care. We're going to be playing closer towards yellow stairs. We're going to shut you down there because we know now that you're going to be able to kind of send Nesk over to that position. Well, he's the first eliminated. And what do you do when you're trying to breach? Well, you end up losing more and more ops because your vertical play was not successful in bringing anything, because all the other ops are actually in, you know, indestructible positions. Defended it at the end to isolate, get in their heads. There you go, get in their heads. 5-4 for
Honestly,
G2. This might break the mind of Team Liquid.
Well, they haven't taken their time out. They still think they can pull it back. They're only one round below. Before, it's this 2 rounds in a row. It's the second time this map 2 rounds have been threaded together.
5 seconds left.
And we are going back to the split site here, and I'm still like thinking that G2 should have won that if they played it a bit more passive rather than the aggression that they showed when it was a 3-on-3 situation. The roam game, that's fine. You can have that out there. Actually bringing the Capkins now just in case there is another blitz running through, so you might be able to blow them up before they are successful. But if you're able to just slow it down a little bit more in those final seconds, use the teamwork and the synergy between your gadgets and utility, they could be finding themselves with some good success here.
Counteract the gadgets. What do? You bring in the Brava. It's a good reaction from Team Liquid. Hopefully they're able to cancel out as much of the utility from Fenrir as possible, because yes, it wasn't that big of a deal in the last round, but had they actually committed to the execute, Team Liquid that is, then Fenrir would have become an issue.
Yeah, would have become an issue, that's for sure. And of course, you know, at that point as well, back in the first round that they played in defense, it still was on the opposite side of the map, just holding off any rotations that came in from that side. So, good operator that you really need to take care of. Hatches are being open up though, so there is definitely an approach towards that basement site. Let's see if it will last this time.
Still trying some crime, and this time an F dot is stolen. Uno, the man who owns them, is going to be disappointed, but he might sort of taper that by shooting people in the face. He's ready for a fight, and Alamau is ready for an appearance. Emergency exit, keenly watched, which will buy some support.
Bit of a cakewalk on that first map, I think, here, Tim, for Wolves, dismantling Bliss and putting themselves just 1 map away and progressing to face off against the winner of G2 versus Liquid. Never really troubled throughout, Mowgli especially putting on one hell of a show.
Yeah, I sort of voiced concerns at the beginning when we saw the map choices. I didn't know about, you know, kicking things off with 2 pretty default maps against Wolves. Clubhouse has, you know, got away from Bliss realistically, and as you pointed out with the stats to back it up before we went in, Oregon is not likely to be any easier. You know, they haven't really played it at all, haven't Bliss, and it's going to be a tough one for them. But, you know, that said, there's 2 sides to every coin. Wolves can't have prepped for them, they can't have watched the VODs because they ain't there, so maybe Bliss can bring a few surprises to the table. But honestly, with the way that Wolves were playing in that last one, how dominant they were, particularly, as you say, Mowgli and P4, absolutely, look at that, 190. I don't know what the highest EPS has been so far at SI24, but that must be pushing it, or if not, it.
Very much so, yeah. Again, I mentioned this before, but just outright domination by Mowgli and P4 throughout that game. You know, the rest, just, they were there for the ride. It's the only way I can really describe it.
And they were there.
They were there. They existed.
The thing is, they played the parts. Deadshot, couple of
did.
important double kills to swing rounds. Bibu, beautiful nitro to stop a rush.
Can't forget that
really
Deadshot gone 6 either.
Can't forget the Deadshot gone 6. Gone 6, Des.
Gone 6.
Gone 6.
I thought it was gone 7.
No,
That's exactly what I said.
No, you didn't.
Either way, it really tells the story down the right-hand side of the screen. It was outright domination by the French side. And now we go into Oregon. The only real saving grace here for me is that Wolves start on the attacking side. That actually we're seeing Bliss starting things out on the defense. As we touched on, this is Wolves' favorite map. It is a map we have barely seen Bliss play. It's been a perm ban for the longest time. They've only played it once. They've lost it. On paper, this should be another win for Wolves.
Yes, I think, you know, it's fair to say as I said coming in, Siege isn't played on paper. It's played in the server, so you never know what's going to happen. But given map 1 and how dominant Wolves were, you have to. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Bliss, you've really entertained us. It's been fantastic to watch you. But as the social vote says as well, you know, you have to expect a Wolves. You know, don't get me wrong, you might hope for a Bliss win, but you have to expect Wolves to be triumphant realistically on Oregon.
You do, and the hopes of APAC may well die with this map, Tim. But as we've already said, 8 teams were going home today, and this will be, depending on how,
it's always the toughest day of the tournament, realistically.
Depending on how G2 Liquid ends as well, they might not be the last team going home this day. It could be one of the teams over there instead. Feels mad to say that G2 or Liquid are going home today, doesn't it? Before we even got ourselves to the live stages and before playoffs was even finished. Absolutely bonkers.
It really does. It really does.
And one of these have got to join them. Let's get into the bans then to kick things off. Bliss are going to start out on the attacking bans. They're going to take away the KB. No surprise at all. One of our highest bans that we've got at the competition.
We'll see as they continue. Wolves will pick up an attacker for us as the second one before we move on to our defenders. It's going to be Grim. Again, you know, we've seen a few. I wouldn't say one of the highest rates necessarily, but certainly up there. Grim getting involved in the banning phase, maybe more than he himself would like.
I think really what we've seen is a lot of teams making use of that alongside things like the Lion, because it's one of those classic things where it's, hey, if you move, you're screwed. If you stay still, you'll get screwed. And what we've seen, I think, from Bliss in the first map a couple of times over is making use of that. And because it's got so many of the Cowan launchers in back pockets, being able to fire those out and just completely suppress an area of the map or a certain room where you know there is going to be no attacker left inside, or no defender left inside, sorry. It's just a really potent operator right now. So that being taken away may well change some things up at least a little bit. It does mean the Ying is open here that we spoke about a number of times. And Mowgli's asking that exact question. What are you going to play now that the Grim has been taken away? Are we going to see that Capital? Are we going to see Monty? Are we going to see Ying? So do expect in that second half, we'll see quite a lot of Ying, as we are starting with now. P4 bringing that out for an attack down into the basement.
So we will see just how aggressive, that's what I'm watching for from Bliss here. They did try on Clubhouse to get themselves out into the map. It did not work. Wolves recognised that quickly, got themselves into sight, threw a diffuser down, and it just didn't pan out well for them. They then chose to try and turn up on site, and it wasn't much better. But we will see whether they choose to get anybody out into the map here. For the time being, there's plenty running upstairs, likely mostly to get hatchers. Wettables all the way up to tier 2. Just wondering, I think he's just chasing drones. I don't think he's intending to play up here necessarily. He's just having a little look around. Looking to maybe get a little bit aggressive. I don't know, maybe just try to slow things down a little bit. We'll see when that spawn comes in. He's watching his cams. Wettables definitely feeling it.
I mean, he's got a bulletproof cell in back pocket. I'd like to see him put that down somewhere around site before he goes throwing himself out of windows now that he's prepped that jump out. As much as Jaeger is the go-to dispensable defensive operator, arguably the biggest example of it, your ADSs are down. Cool. What more is there for you to do? There's no recharging gadgets. There's no active gadget that you can use as the round wears on. Like you're seeing with the rest of them here, arguably Valkyrie, another one that you'd see in a similar vein, but she does have that C4 that can prove to be of great use the longer the round goes on.
Bibu just, I love that look at the it's just it's something that we don't often comment on, but I always just think it's a thing of beauty when you've just got that drone 10 feet in front of somebody and they're just moving aggressively through the map. You know, the comms, the teamwork, everything about it. It's just such a simple thing and such a staple of Siege, but I love it.
Would you hot drone me like that?
You could hot draw me, Des.
You reckon?
No, you're the gunner. You're the gunner of the two.
On the left, mate. You'll be screwed.
Well, that's it. You don't want me droning you.
True, actually, at least
you need to be my eyes, Des. You need to be my eyes, man.
Tim, on your left, on your left, on your left. Tim, no! There's a number of times that I'd be calling that up being unbelievable. Brendo's going to start things off. Mowgli, our resident fragger in the last map, is the one to pull down first and foremost. Brendo popping on them specs, looking extra cool. As we see the Candelas come flying on through. And look at that, a couple of kills fly the way of Wolves incredibly quickly. A drop straight into Brendo's line of fire. Gets himself one back on the other side, but immediately it's down to a 2 versus 2. But it's a pinch coming in from Bliss here. All to do for Shinka. He is the clutch master. That's what we know him as, but has got to win both Freezer and Pillar here. He's taking a back away. Has to be careful because that only gives Bliss time to reconvene here, pull together, try and make this play work.
Shinka, he's just going to be holding himself inside a sight, but super low health. Needs to really pick his moments. And he's going to go for it straight away, Des. There is no push coming in to stop him. Fisher Guy finally moves. Shinka comes off the diffuser. He's got what he wanted, but with the poor low health, he's going to flash himself. Not ideal from Shinka. Himself low health and the others pretty stacked in terms of HP. It's going to be very, very difficult for Shinka to get anything out of this. And it was well played by Bliss. Nice and calm. No chasing the kill. That's when you lose those rounds. But no, they just held their position, waited for that bit of intel. It was a sound call that came through in the end. But the comms were good. And Bliss get themselves a good first defense.
Quite ironically, that's where a Grim would have been really beneficial to the side of Wolves. You had the Ward and a Brendo just sat on pillar basically the entire round. Didn't really need to move his feet. And gets himself 3 kills, a lot of them through. The flashes of the Candelas too. It's really showing why a lot of teams love bringing things like a Thatcher to try and dispatch of a Warden. Or, as mentioned, things like a Grim to force him to move. At least then you can drop in and go for a pre-fire and an all things equal gunfight, except you have that additional information. So, great use of the Warden there in round 1. Now we go on to this top floor, Tim. We'll see if Bliss can keep on building a defensive advantage, because heaven knows it'll be hard to get when they go on the attack.
It certainly will. This is it for Bliss now. They need to get some momentum up here and start getting some rounds. I mean, you know, I suppose I've already commented on them picking default maps or sort of allowing default maps to come through. And I don't, you know, maybe it's not the end of the world. We haven't seen them play it very much. But as I often say, you know, you're not going to be a pro team that's reaching the Six Invitational if you have no Oregon, for example. You know, it's a map that these players should be well versed in. It's been in the pool for the longest time. So, you know, even if it's not something you choose to play regularly, it's something that you should still be able to play and should be at least reasonably competent on. So intel plenty in abundance throughout the map. We've got the Valk cams have been positioned around. We've got 2 bulletproofs as well, all sorts to try and read the positions of the Wolves attack.
I'm just sitting Ash Sophia and just thinking back to the good old days. And those are the only 2 operators that you'd ever see on the attacking side very consistently, because of their soft breach potential, because there were more charge breaches, or sorry, breach and charges in the back pocket of the Ash, for example, because Sophia used to be a bit of a demon with the gun until we had the reworks come through that have slowed things down a bit. Either way, both are here for different purposes, no doubt. Normally seeing the Ash come along when there's a mirror on the defensive side. Of course, one not here, but Vivi's in a great spot underneath, under Armory, trying to see what he can find. Absolutely nothing to be found, but Mowgli, shock horror, has found himself a 2K. That is becoming very much a theme throughout this series, Tim.
Yep, great stuff from Mowgli, just creating a bit of space there, managing to take out Sage, who was inside of Armory. Days was certainly numbered, Kiba barricades or not. Shinka now positioned in there, able to keep a hold of Armory corridor. Meanwhile, the rest of Wolves seem to be rotating around towards White Stairs and Double Window, and the push is not going to come through Armory. Here we go, Deadshot takes out the Frostmat on the inside, gets himself into a plantable position, and he's just going to go for it, Des.
Trying to do what he can here as well on the backside. Has got down with most of this as well. They can't see him on the angle. They've got Mowgli, makes it a 3. Of course he makes it a 4 to him. He's just going through this team like a hot knife through butter. Far too easy for Mowgli and the rest of Wolves.
What was the kill record we had set the other day? 50.
We'd need a 3-mapper for him to break that, I think.
I'm joking. I jest. I don't think there's any way that Mowgli's going to see anything too close to that. Yeah, KZ.
Oh, mate.
Absolutely beautiful. KZ setting the new LAN kill record. And it was a fantastic performance. Unfortunately, W7M lost the game, but still KZ's performance was, of course, a standout. But Mowgli has been a standout performer here so far against Bliss. 18 in the last map, 4 here. That's 22 in total. But as you say, I just don't think he's going to get the rounds or the longevity needed to be touching anywhere near those dizzy heights.
Yeah, you need some long maps here. You really need to see the other side
plenty of
fighting
rounds,
back.
3 maps. You need like everything to go in your favour, really.
You need the other side to be more competitive, and it's not really to say that Bliss aren't giving it a go. Like, I would say they're actually giving it the very best.
I think they're playing very well overall.
When Mowgli's walking 4Ks for fun, it's hard to really find a response is the problem. The only concern about that I have is, we always say about Wolves, there comes a certain point in the tournament where the wheels just come off. Where Mowgli has a bad day and Deadshot has a bad day.
Maybe
I talked about the results earlier. Yeah, but we've been saying that for years, Tim.
Maybe not this. You know me, I'm the eternal optimist there. Maybe not. Maybe this is the one.
And you are absolutely insufferable as a result of it.
Maybe Liquid are beating G2 on the other stream. No, who knows?
Tim, they've just lost 2-0.
Who knows? Maybe not.
We know, Tim. I just told you it's 2-0.
But maybe, Des.
In an alternate universe,
Let me
Tim.
dream.
I'll let you dream, mate. You keep dreaming. All right, Bibu, I'm looking once again at the Amaru pick coming in here. They don't care about the Amaru. They're saying, you know what, straight towards site, but he's dropped himself inside a kid's window. We've seen this one a million times over. However, Bliss have found 2 kills back for themselves, so have at least held most of this attack at bay. Deadshot still in quite a commanding position, but downstairs is where things look a little bit ropey right now. Yes, they've got control of top floor, but C4s can come flying up from below. Retakes can come on through. So wherever they choose to make this plan happen, they've got to be so careful. The first one, almost finding Bibu.
Deadshot's going to get this done. There's nobody in a position to do anything about it. The cover comes in, but it might be too little too late. P4 taken down, and that's going to be it. What a great retake there from Bliss. They didn't really worry too much about the diffuser going down. They just focused on where those attackers were, shut them down, and they will get the disable on that diffuse. Good stuff.
It was nice, I think. The fact that you had this all-in attack coming out of the side of Wolves, and Bliss managed to plant their feet. They dealt with the Amaru coming in. They dealt with everything except Deadshot, realistically. And even when they realized they'd lost control of site, their first thoughts are, right, we drop back down to being underneath the site. We've got 2 C4s in hand. We can still play forward to Nile. And they almost managed to get rid of Bibu with it, I believe, putting him down to about half HP. Just really good reactions from the Aussie side to deal with the aggression coming out of Wolves. Now we move back down into that basement as we step into that second quarter of the game. See if we can see success down here once again. Last time, everything came as a result of Brendo on Pillar. So I wonder if Wolves change things around a little bit and bring along a Thatcher to get rid of the threat of the Warden.
Yeah, good stuff from Bliss so far. 4-2 half on defense wouldn't be the end of the world for him. It'd be a very good start indeed. And then they can, you know, try and work things on the attack. It's the second half that's going to be tougher for them, but still, they can only play the half that they are in, and they're doing it very well at the minute. Just limiting Wolves to 1 successful attack so far, as you've quite rightly called. We're going to have the Thatcher brought along. That's going to make the Warden, Brendo's game, much more difficult. He's going to find himself having that gadget disabled and unusable, and likely being pushed by Candelas very quickly thereafter, so long as they can get the timing right, and Wolves have already shown us that they are quite capable of doing that.
It is that big if on it. I called for it after round 1. We are seeing it get brought out, but they've got to make sure, 1, Bibu is alive that late in the round, and 2, that Brendo is in the right spot. So it will require throwing drones at the problem to get the information they need to figure these things out. And then it requires a team play for things to follow on through. So keep a close eye on Bibu. He will be a big part of this. Each EMP that comes out may well follow up, as you say, Tim, with a Candela off the back of it. But now a lot of Bliss being forced back down towards site. They've already paid the price on Clubhouse of being too aggressive on their roams, Tim. Just got rushed on the bottom site by Wolves. So this time round on Oregon, making sure they're at least much closer to site than previous.
Wolves still working to get themselves inside of the map safely. Mowgli and Deadshot have managed to get themselves into kitchen. They're going to be pushing across that mid floor, looking to get the hatches open. And P4 is already on the way with that work as well. That's going to be at least laundry hatch open. He'll come and do security. He's going to need a little bit of support if they want to get that freezer hatch open. And it's going to mean going down and taking out a Kaid Electrical. Many ways that they can do it. They've got a Thatcher. They've got a Twitch. They've got Flores drones. They've got everything that they might need.
They just worry if they have to start using Bibu's EMPs for these hatches, and there's nothing really left.
They could just go and shoot it.
They can, but you're always at risk of being swung out from the sort of like cabinet at the end of freezer. Which is what I'm slightly mindful of. However, job has been done. Things have been opened up. 1 EMP burnt so far, and onwards they march.
They do. People will be opening up the last hatch. 1 minute 15 left on the clock, though. This hasn't... Ooh, and there comes the tuber out. We spoke about this. Operator's impact. Fisher Guy manages to pick up Mowgli inside a freezer. Great start. This has been a good defense so far from Bliss. Using that tuber out, look how much time they've wasted. 2 minutes gone. Wolves haven't even started towards site yet.
They're still just holding things on here. Every single time it comes out, there's another tuber out to get tossed on. Still got 1 more in back pocket as well, so we'll be down to a matter of, what, 25 seconds? And then they've got to try and make everything happen in those last 20, which means no real mistakes to be afforded to the French side. Here we are with Brendo. On goes the glasses, and he's able to just pick off whoever the hell he needs to. Once again, they're getting really upset by this Warden. Deadshot, the last one left standing. They can find nothing. Bliss are going to find themselves up 3-1, Tim.
Great start from Bliss. I think there's going to be many happy Australians out there at the minute watching on, doing fantastically well against Wolves on, you know, what should be, it is Wolves map pick, but what should be Wolves' map, really. You know, they are fantastic on this map, but just not able to deliver on the attack so far. It's been very tight, very solid from Bliss, not really giving them much opportunities. I love that they've managed to get the entry onto Mowgli 2 rounds in a row. Mowgli having such a big impact in that first map. And now... very little. He's had that 4 kills, and that's been it. He hasn't had a sniff over the last couple of rounds, and that's something that Bliss need to continue if they can.
Keep it rolling. Keep on taking these rounds away from Wolves, because it's going to be so critical when the sides switch. And again, second best defensive team that we've got at the competition, maybe number 1 after how the series has played out so far, to be fair. To upset Wolves on their defense is going to take a massive effort. And more than anything else, catching out Mowgli is proving to be the secret sauce to success. Truthfully, not really that big a secret, Tim. We all know how well he's been playing so far today. Meeting in kitchen coming up then. Capcan on side. Brendo switching over towards that. And it's Fisher Guy donning the duties of the Warden coming into the round number 5. Let's get underway. See how things play out.
Yeah, a bit more of a challenge now coming in for Bliss, being that they're on that third choice site. Going to try to hold on to Meeting. They do have a top floor presence. Order at the minute is up in attic. Going to be moving into dorms. Wettables out in small tower. So they are trying to hold as much of the map as they can, but absolutely shut down by Morley. He has his revenge on the entry. Managing to pick up one, but Fisher Guy is there for a trade, at least taking down Deadshot. 4 versus 3 as Brenda manages to find Shinker. And this is looking good for Bliss once again.
Full-on panic, really, as Wolves just storm their way in towards Trophy. Looking to take a few trophies of their own, but ultimately only managed to find the one, lose 2 players in the process. I am really impressed at how good Bliss have been at dealing with this rapid aggression coming out from Wolves. It upsets so many teams. It's what we've seen teams like G2, like DZ, like Sonics have great success with, is fast-paced, aggressive attacks the defenders just aren't ready for. But the Aussies have dealt with it incredibly well up till now.
P4 going to be out of the window now, knowing that the lateral push needs to be worked as well. Wettables is currently inside of shower corridor. Not really being challenged too much. Gets aggressive onto the window, but manages to sneak away. Doesn't really need to take the extra rotation. One was already there, but Wettables manages to find the kill onto P4, so we'll forgive him for the extra impact Nade used. Mowgli is going to be slammed as well. Wettables has done a great job cleaning up from Showers with a 3K.
Very, very clean. Showers references, we love it. The Wettables player inside of Showers being
cleaning up, honestly.
Just too easy.
Just taking things to new heights.
Aren't we just? Yeah, really setting the standard for comedy and siege, aren't we here?
Round 6, and Bliss are absolutely, I think it's fair to say, pretty much running over Wolves so far on the defense. Wolves really haven't been very competitive inside of this. There's not been many rounds where I've thought, yeah, they're going to win that. Yeah. You know, the round that they did win obviously was very good. They got themselves in and got the diffuser down, but it was a rush. They got away with it. They tried it again. It didn't really work. Bliss were able to get them on the retake, and Bliss are looking absolutely solid here. We commented on the way in that Oregon isn't a map that they play. Well, I'll tell you what, I know 5 people who'd like to disagree with you. It looks like it is a map that they play.
And the backroom staff who are like, and I took that personally. The threat that must have gone into this game is unreal, to be fair. Looking fantastic. And if they get this here, it goes 5-1. I could see a world where they win this, if not at the very least, take us through to overtime at the end of the map.
5-1 will be absolutely huge for Bliss, because I think it's fair to say the attacking half is always going to be the more difficult half for them on a map they don't normally play. But that being said, if they can get themselves onto 5, they only need to find one site that they can win on, and that could be your third choice site, the easiest site. You can go on, just win that twice, 7-5, bang, job done, you're on to map 3, and all of a sudden maybe Wolves have got a bit of a sweat on.
I would start to be worried at this point if I was Wolves, to be honest. Like, not really seeing their attacks come to any real success outside of the one that we saw much earlier on. P4's been quiet this map compared to the previous. Again, reminding you that it was him and Mowgli putting up massive numbers for his team previously. Already P4's down to half HP on arguably the most critical operator as part of this attack for Yink.
Mowgli taking a bunch of damage as well, and Bliss doing, oh, very good orders timing just off there. A fraction of a second later, and he gets himself a nice kill. But I tell you what, Wolves have been softened up once again inside of small tower. They're trying to push across from that side, but they're just being held at bay. They're making absolutely no progress. Realistically, at the minute, they haven't moved order out of kitchen, and Bliss, they are not for moving.
They are not. Only 60 seconds in, and it already feels like there's been quite a bit of back and forth between the two. 2 damaged players on the side of Wolves at this point. A bit of utility exchange between the two as well. We would be forgiven for thinking we were about 1:15 left in the round at this sort of stage, but Wolves still trying to get themselves set up. Yes, they've got the Showers control. Small tower is theirs as well. They've still got a lot of work to do to get themselves all the way across and start looking up towards this top floor. Honor into another, but a good trade coming back across, and immediately elsewhere, Wettables responds. Every single time it feels like Wolves are making some kind of progress, there's just a response on the other side. And Speaking of progress, Mowgli in this game finds himself 2 in the round. Down to 3 versus 3.
Yeah, like you said, they're playing as a team fantastically well. They're always there for the trade. Fisher Guy's going to pick up
Bandit
Mowgli.
shotgun, my favourite.
Such a standard pick. 3 versus 2. You know, putting it to work one way or another, getting the job done. And that is what Bliss have been able to do so far. Absolutely, you know, dominant again inside of this round, realistically. And Wolves are now left with a big window push, just trying to get inside of the map.
It's funny because of how often we do not see the shotgun coming out, but I love it in this position, given how strong shotguns are as well. A couple of pumps into P4, sees him down. Bibba went through the window, easily closed out as well. A 5-1 half for the Aussie side. Everything you could ask for and more, I think, Tim.
Absolutely. I think it's time that Wolves need to wake up if they want to be getting this one done in 2. You know, we sort of expected coming in that might be the likely outcome, and there is still a little bit of siege left to play yet, but I think there's a few people, you know, sort of sat around thinking Wolves were going to win this, and Bliss, you know, we weren't familiar with your game, and you've really turned up and started to deliver here on Oregon.
What I'm always nervous about, though, Tim, as I always say, 2 halves to a game of Siege. And now Bliss have got to come out and perform better than Wolves on the attacking side. Reason why I say that is, again, with it being Wolves' map pick, I would go and check, but I'm being lazy. You can basically guarantee Wolves have opted to start on defense in overtime because they get that choice as the pickers of the map. And given how defense already looked, I would wager if we get to 6-6, Wolves things close out with 2 rounds in overtime. We've got to see Bliss come out with a stronger half than just 1 attacking win.
The key, I think, for Bliss winning this round, particularly down on the basement, is going to be moving Wolves players. And that is going to be particularly positions like Pillars, Freezer. They are going to be 2 positions that are very difficult to clear out. Elbow, potentially, with Shinka playing there on the smoke. It is not going to be easy for Bliss to get themselves in, get established, and make life difficult for Wolves. Wolves are going to want to lock themselves down inside a site. Fisher Guy's coming in with the Monty, and that could really help things, you know, with that task that I've said. Maybe go down Freezer, push onto that door, force your way into highway, and that's going to clear out Pillar. It's going to make Wolves move around. That's going to be the big key here for Bliss. Now then, I think there is 1 player, or no, it's Deadshot. He's just up at the top of Laundry Stairs. He's going to move back down. I thought that Wolves were just leaving 1 out in the map, and it was going to just make me question Bliss's sort of drawn efficiency, making sure that they were checking absolutely everywhere. It looks like they are on with it, but 1 minute into the round, and they're making reasonable progress. They're confident they've got the map. They're opening hatches.
Tells you a lot when a team brings along those light screens with them as well. That's the thing I'm looking forward to the most here. Monty's one thing, of course, very, very slow, does draw things to a little bit of a pause at frequent occasions. The same story with the Flores. Really here, Sage for me is going to be the difference maker. You don't bring along the light screens unless you have a plan ready for the round. Maybe there's a little bit of counter prep that's gone in here against Wolves, especially knowing that if this map was available, Wolves would take it without question.
Randall's just going to hold the angle from rear stage stairs at the minute. He just wants to prevent anybody flanking up there. When the time comes, particularly when electrical hatch has been opened, that's when he's going to start applying pressure and pushing down a little bit more. Order manages to get down into Freezer. So much as I suggested, the 3 positions that they're trying to push is where Bliss have gone for, and those are the players that they're going to need to move. 1 minute 15 left on the clock, and as of yet, Wolves are still fairly comfortable. However, Fisher Guy, he is in there. He's going to be like a big magnet on this Montagna. He's going to take a lot of attention from Wolves once they know that that shield is inside a Laundry. Gonna just dip out for the minute, get the reload done safely, and then he'll likely move his way back across to become a bit of a nuisance.
That's exactly it, but I like how no one's gone down early on, which means the plan can be executed exactly the way that Bliss want. It's not like Wolves have got up there and disrupted them by taking out a couple of operators early on, and even now we're burning through the smokes, for example, still with 40 seconds on the clock with more light screens to deploy. Looking good for the Aussies.
Certainly is. They can try to work in behind this. They're just going to try and soften up that wall. They know that one's on top of the machines, but they just can't get the angle. The ping goes out. Oda's going to have to remain patient. 25 seconds left to go. It's still 5 versus 5. Not a single kill has been found. Mowgli is using that gadget to as much as he can, but it's not really buying him anything. He's going to be challenged on the door there. First kill is going to be essential because you feel it could be a domino effect, and it goes in the favour of Bliss. Wetables onto Deadshot. It's 4 versus 3. It's 6 seconds left to go. Fisher Guy needs to think about getting that diffuser down. 2 versus 3, and Wolves somehow hold on.
It's a great retake, to be fair, coming into Laundry. Just players sweeping in from Cubby, in from Rotate, taking everything over. Once the Monty left the room, they realized there was no real front line for the side of Bliss, and everything started to fall from there. The information disappeared. He'd gone up highway and in towards supply. Well, you saw the outcome, but I'll give it to them. Really interesting round. Really cool ideas coming out there. And for a second, it did look like Wolves were going to buckle under the pressure, Tim. But so ultimately, they persevere. The French side come out on top, 5-2.
Yeah, you really think, you know, I'm looking back over the stats, and I think Wolves would really help themselves out getting a few entries here. It's been a little bit sparse for them over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds. They've only had 1 entry, so they're playing at a severe disadvantage. Even when they're on the defence, they're still not picking it up, and I think that would be really something for Wolves, because it just really starts to knock the confidence of Bliss a little bit, maybe, if Wolves could get aggressive in that early round. But a good start for Wolves. As a Bliss fan, you sat there, and I think you'd have been expecting this to happen. You know that Wolves are going to make a run back at you here. You know, it was fairly unlikely, I think it's fair to say, that Bliss were just going to come in and take 2 attacks and it'd be 7-1 and done. We know that Wolves are going to have a run back. Where we're really looking is those tertiary sites. If Bliss can actually grab one of the primary sites, Laundry or Dorms, it's going to be a huge, huge thing for them, because it really does set them up, you know, for the win full stop. So we'll see whether they can do it here in round 8. It's up to the top floor. It's Dorms this time. P4 just inside of T2. Now then, are they aware of his presence?
Needless to say, I think maybe Mowgli might be regretting taunting Fisher and saying, well, we've banned away the Grim. What are you going to play now? Cappy, Monty, Ying? The answer is turning into being Monty. And Monty is so hard to play against, and you don't have the tools to deal with him. Thankfully they do. You know, the Azami helps on one side. You've got a couple of impacts to play behind as well. You've got Legion as well available to you to slow down the Monty. But I do expect through a lot of this half, unless things start going tragically wrong for Bliss, you ought to see this Monty getting picked time and time again.
Interestingly, we saw P4 rotate back into Attic then and didn't have time to reinforce as he went. There was shots raining in around him, so he just had to leave it. So they've sort of given them Attic half soft. They've got the breach onto the wall as well with the Selma, so now full access to Attic for Bliss, and that's inside of the first minute. Deadshot, he's working around underneath. There's still somebody from Bliss outside of Garage at the minute. It's Oda on the Flores, and these two could potentially come together, especially if Deadshot hears that barricade opening up. For the time being, he's just going to be holding an angle through Split. He's just stood inside of there in the corner, keeping himself. Through Split, Des.
Where's that?
It's just outside of Meeting, Des.
What's it called, Split, Tim?
Because there's a split route in and out of it, Des.
Ah, got it, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
First time in my life I got confused by that.
Deadshot's dead.
Yeah, and that tends to happen. It's at that moment where you just know things are going horribly wrong, and it's only gone from bad to worse because, Tim, both Deadshot and Mowgli have gone down now. We keep speaking about them as that go-to duo. Again, remembering Fresh's stat from earlier in a round where those two do not get a kill, which they have not this round. They only win 12.5% of rounds. This could prove to be that round for Bliss.
And again, the entry goes away from them. So once again, Wolves on the back foot as they have been so consistently. I don't think anybody realistically saw this coming on Oregon. You know, a map that we know that Wolves are so strong on. And how Fisher Guy just trying to manoeuvre in around that goo mine will be taken out. Not inside of his legs, so he's
it's like an elephant being scared of mice, isn't it? When you see those goo mines
just going to tiptoe around this goo mine.
Yeah, like, it's there, get rid, make it go away. And that's exactly what his team are there for. However, he's into a great position here to make things happen. Turns his back, so we've got the shield down as well, facing out towards the attacking or defending team. They found themselves another Tim, but here comes Bibu, finds one. Right sort of idea, but doesn't win the gunfight. Bliss are going to find that round that they so sorely need here, Tim. And it turns out again, Monty is the terror. Bliss are up at 6-2, up to map point. And we could find ourselves going through to Consulate.
Fisher Guy's playing a great game on the Monty. That much is absolutely for sure. And like you say, I think Mowgli eating his words a little bit at this point. And he came in there. Maybe he gave him the idea with mentioning the Monty. And maybe he wished that he hadn't.
I hate Xenox, man. He just walked in the room giving it the big one because I was taunting him after map 1. All right, Wolves in for a timeout. They know things are not going according to plan. You can tell that by looking at the screen. 6-2. The French side find themselves down. I did expect difficulty coming into this map because Bliss were the ones starting on the defense. I don't think I quite expected a 5-1 half though, Tim, and it's running now, that momentum into the second half as well.
And I love to see it. You know, we come in and obviously we say, yes, you know, the expectation is probably for Wolves, and I think most Bliss fans, you know, would probably have said the same, that it was going to be a difficult game and that Wolves, you know, had a good opportunity to get a 2-0 win. But we love to be surprised, as we love to be proved wrong. And that's exactly what Bliss are doing right now. Absolutely dominating on Oregon. Wolves just not at the races, as you say, just taking that tactical timeout. The dead shot kill sort of says it all. I mean, I called it about 3 seconds before he died, but Bliss just pushed it so well. They knew exactly where he was. The flashbang came in. There was absolutely no chance for him whatsoever. And it's just Bliss have put Wolves in that position so many times throughout this map that it's been a joy to watch, realistically. We've had two, you know, yes, both maps have been dominated by one team or the other, but we said it after we came off the first map, you know, and Wolves had won. We said it was still a great clubhouse to watch because Wolves were just so electric and so fun to watch. And I'm going to give Bliss the same compliment here. They've been an absolute pleasure to watch so far on Oregon.
You know what the terrifying thing is if we get onto Consulate? Bliss have never lost Consulate. And amongst the teams they played on that map are, guess who? Wolves. And they beat them 7-2. So there's already a massive story coming into that map 3 if we see ourselves get there. It's a big hill for Wolves to climb here. And of course, as a reminder, let's not forget, the team that the winner of this game would have to play is G2, given they beat Liquid. That's already feeling like a pretty scary matchup to face off against tomorrow.
Honestly, you know me, Des. You know that I absolutely love a surprise, like, deep run into the tournament from a team that we maybe don't expect it from. But Bliss going fantastically well. Can they keep doing it? Like you say, their eyes are just going to be fixed on Consulate. They'll know those stats. They'll remember that 7-2 game. And they are going to be absolutely locked and loaded and thinking, just get us to Consulate and we'll have you. And Wolves, I'm sure, will remember exactly the same. P4 is going to be in a sticky situation at the minute. He's up in T3. He's taken a lot of damage. The drones have gone in. They know for sure that he's up there, and it's going to be a real challenge for him to get away. He actually manages to do a bit of damage onto Sage, and Deadshot picks up Wettables. Sage manages to get P4 though in the trade, and that's going to be 4 versus 4.
Yeah, Mowgli's got himself out there. Not the end of the world. You've lost the R6 and Italy for pit 4 P4, 1 and 7 across the game. You're not exactly losing a strong gun in this game is the way that I would look at it. On the other side of things, though, the Capital going down, real stinger. Because those smokes, the fire, massive parts of the game and massive parts of an execute into this site for the side of Bliss.
Yeah, definitely a big loss there. You can't always pick when you're just going to stick your head out and have a look out of the window who you're going to get necessarily, but definitely come away with an absolute treat with the Capital going down. Brendo is going to be looking to move inside of the building pretty soon, I would imagine. It's shaping up to look like there could be a bit of a tension towards Master and Closet. Oda is just at the top of Freezer Stairs at the minute, so Bliss just a little bit disparate, just sort of spread out, and they need to come together really and decide exactly where this push is coming.
Decide now exactly how they're going to push their way through. By the looks of it, with the committal of these Flores Rotero drones in towards Trophy and Master side, going through a keeper barrier, now onto the shield inside of Trophy. The goal is to just slowly massage Wolves away from playing on the east side. And you can see now how the majority of players have actually drawn back in towards these top 4 rooms themselves. And that does open things up for the side of Bliss. Sage on one last little drone run around to figure out what's going on. Anything else I have to worry about? Nope. Explodes itself. That means this east side is theirs for the taking.
It just runs out of time on the Rotero drone, and it will destroy itself. Mowgli going to be trying to hold Brendo out here. The bulletproof cam is in use, and P4 is sat on it at the minute. It will be defended by that ADS as well, but Brendo just goes in and says, I don't care. You can know I'm here. I'm going to take the fight. I'm going to win it. Oda trying to push in, shut down, and all of a sudden, Wolves get a big 2. Shinka keeps them in this. Deadshot joins the party. It's 1v1. It's Shinka. The clutch master closes it out for Wolves and keeps them fighting for another round.
Closer, no doubt, than they'd have liked, but it came so close to Bliss careering us through into map 3. And what a scoreline to do. It would have been 7-2, just as dominant as that first map for Wolves. Heaven knows how things could have then played out on Consulate, but for now at least, we keep on moving. Wolves need to win 3 more rounds to send us through to overtime.
My heart rate just went through the roof with that as it came down to the 1v1. Honestly, Whew! Edge of the seat stuff we are witnessing as Wolves try to fight their way back into it. They were a couple of bullets away from going to map 3 then, and we've seen Fisher Guy do it already. Definitely deserves his shout. 9-4, going fantastically well. But look across the team. Wearables 9-5, Brendo 9-5. Really stepping up together to get this job done.
Team effort, Tim. Team effort. And we asked this question back on Clubhouse a little bit. You know, what does happen when Deadshot or Mowgli don't show up to the races? And we've been waiting to see, yeah, it sounds bad to say it, but a classic Wolves thing at a major tournament is to see their big players just slip off and not perform at the level that they have been throughout the rest of the competition. And sadly for Wolves, that often comes around about quarterfinals times. They've held on till now. They're still in this game. They can still get 3 more rounds on the boards. They've still got a map 3 that we can go to. But I do just worry, are we getting to that stage of the tournament where you are going to see the French side kept quiet?
In goes the first Rotero drone, going to be usually aimed towards elbow, so we're clearing out this bit of utility. Just opposite short of the mute jammer there. Will take out the barricade, will take out the barbed wire, will not take out the Vulcan canister that is on the wall. Shinka going to be holding out in elbow for as long as possible. Plenty of smoke canisters in pocket, still 3 of those remaining. We'll wait until the pressure mounts before trying to get any more aggressive. And to be honest, Shinka's going to wait there for a while because Bliss have rotated away. Instead, they're focusing down into Freezer as they have done before. They paid a little bit of attention to Laundry last time. The Monte was, you know, very useful for getting him in there, and they've gone with the Blitz instead this time. The chase is on. Wetable's going after the Warden there of Mowgli, but he manages to get away. Elsewhere, Brendo picks up P4, and it's another good entry for Bliss.
The Warden of Mowgli was something I was going to talk about because, again, we've got the Thatcher coming out for the attacking side when looking in towards the Warden on the downstairs. Now, Brendo plays that pillar spot. They'll know that Mowgli will be trying to do something similar here. If they can unseat him and clear him out, the rest of it becomes pretty open for them. So keep an eye out on the Ying when you see the Candelas light up on the left side of your screen. When you see Wetaball start his march on forward, it's probably a sign that just a few seconds prior, Otter has got those EMPs out and they're starting their march towards victory.
Wetabbles is very slowly walking towards bunker here, but I'm sure that Shinka is going to be aware of it very, very soon. He's stood so close to that double door. I don't think you could get all the way there without him hearing. Mowgli is ready for the challenge on to rear stage stairs. He's just going to provide a little bit of support. Shinka dropping the smoke canister. Mowgli needs to keep them off rear stage. There goes the Warden gadget activated. He's watching for the drop. He knows there's one on the stairs. Mowgli is pulled a little bit pillar for post here and just can't quite find his angle, but does in the end take down Fisher Guy. Wetable's on the rush though. It works. It's 3 versus 2, and Wolves, they stand up tall once again. 2 versus 2, Des.
Weatables has found his man into another as well. The shield comes up big for them towards the tail end of things. They hold on and career us through to map 3. I don't know what was louder then, us or the Aussies next door shouting at that map win.
We could certainly hear them, and it's a well-deserved celebration that they take. Bliss have done fantastically well there. They've come out on a map that they don't show us very often, and they've absolutely commanded their position on there. It was great to watch. What a performance from them. 7-3, and they take us all the way to Consulate. And honestly, after those first 2 maps, I feel like this really warrants a third.
That history of being at 7-2 is one thing, but a dominant map apiece just really sets you up for a tantalizing Consulate game. And I don't know what to expect. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be fun. Do Bliss finally overcome the curse, though, and move past other teams? Because throughout this whole competition, they've been like 7-5, 8-6, 8-7, always just missing out. Does that change against Wolves, who it feels are becoming their rivals at these events?
You've also got to remember, I'm going to remind everybody, just in case you need a bit more attention on this one, the stakes. The winner continues on. They need 2 wins, only 2, including this one, to go through to the live stage. So after this, 1 more will get them there. The loser...
Just 1 win against G2. No big deal.
No big deal. The loser goes home. The stakes could not be higher.
Absolutely huge. Well, we've got a break to go to. Let's get ourselves ready and warmed up for map 3. See you guys in a few. all comes down to this. A final map of Consulate to decide which team goes on to face G2 tomorrow and which one goes home. A dominant affair on map 1 from the French side of Wolves until on map 2, Oregon, a map that Wolves have played and will always claim is their best map, to a map that Bliss have never played, is absolutely overrun by the Aussies. Who knows what happens on map 3 of Consulate, but one thing's for sure, Tim, it's going to be a banger.
Well, this is it. We thought the Wolves were going to be way better on Oregon, you know, given the sort of statistics that we saw on there, but Bliss showed us that statistics mean absolutely nothing. They ripped them up, they threw them out of the window, and they came away with a fantastic 7-3 win, and certainly deserve any credit that they are given for that one. Wetables and Brendo going fantastically, almost with identical EPSs, 5-1 between them on the entry, you know, just going absolutely brilliantly.
On the other side, that constant question that comes back, what happens when Mowgli and Deadshot are quiet? Well, you can kind of see it for yourself. They don't always get the wins that they so sorely need. Still more to come, I'm sure, though, from this series, from not just those players, but from both teams, too. I know we spoke a lot about Wetables on that past fixture. Previous one was all about Mowgli. Who's going to be the hero when it really counts? It determines whether or not you're getting a flight home or if you're going through to tomorrow.
Let's not forget Fisher Guy as well. Certainly had some moments on Oregon and able to really bully at times on the Monty. Interesting to see whether we get that Monty back come through this time or not.
I don't imagine you'll see any more taunting this time around about what band they're going to have.
I think it'll be a little bit more subdued in the old chat, if I had to guess. But yeah, we are in one way or another. No matter who wins this, we're in for an absolute treat. There's a little bit of me that wants to see every single round of this that we can do. We've had, you know, 2 maps where one team or the other have been able to dominate. Now let's have an absolute brawl between the 2 of them.
Well, I know that there's a little box on that bingo card about a Dares and Ace map 3 OT. This could be the one that delivers it with the way things have played out so far. As said, looking back at history, Wolves won this map 7-2 and they played against each other. So on paper, it looks like we know who the winner is going to be. But given how Oregon went, I'm just almost like, stats, paper, get it out. It does not even count for Toffee coming into this final map.
Nah, forget about it. It's all about just getting in the server. For me, I think the first few rounds are going to be very important because you know what's at stake here. Loser goes home. Lose a couple of rounds, that's going to start weighing heavily on you. You know, I sort of feel like maybe more so for Wolves than for Bliss because I feel like Wolves have got expectation on top of them as well, Bliss. And I'm not saying, you know, in themselves they might not expect to be able to go on. I'm sure they will at this point, but equally, you know, the expectation of them, they've surpassed that. They've done really well at the tournament, and if they can continue on, everything's a bonus surely at this point.
I'm just nervous about the fact that Wolves start on defense. We've seen both teams have really good defensive halves across their games, and the one who started on defense got that 5-1 lead, that strong lead to begin with, were the ones who ultimately ran away with the map, able to squeak out just a couple more attacks to get over the line. So that's why I'm a little bit nervous about the prospects for the Aussie side, but it's been crazy, this competition. When teams do manage to finally figure out how to attack something proficiently, the other side can do nothing but look on and see themselves fall to the aggressors.
So that's
a pretty fair split. Yeah, many were stacked towards Wolves. Not just at the start of this series, but after map 1. But now, things looking much more even between the 2 teams.
Yeah, a lot more people jumping on the Bliss bandwagon now, and I'm sure that they will not mind a few more voices cheering them on. Because Oregon, they certainly got it done and gave us plenty to cheer about along the way. Can they continue it on Consulate? That is the question on everybody's lips. This is our last game to finish up of the day, and it is an absolute cracker that we've got on the cards potentially here. I hope both of these show up on Consulate. I hope that they both give their absolute all, and whether they go home or not, can at least walk away happy with their performance.
I actually got the result the wrong way around, by the way. It was Bliss that 7-2'd Wolves here on Consulate.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, Wolves 7-2'd them? No, absolutely wrong. It was the other way around. You think I'd remember such a turnaround like that? However, I said, this tournament, lots of change. Meta has changed. And heaven knows what we get coming into it as well. We'll load in just a second, waiting for our teams to be fully ready, and then we can get underway. So for now, we can just sit there and stare at that wonderful 60-40% waiting a little bit longer, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting a nice look at the reworked Consulate. You could be forgiven if you've, you know, maybe been away from CG Esports for a little while. You've come back to check out the R6 Invitational 2024. First of all, well done on making a great decision. Second of all, yes, Consulate has changed a little bit. We had a rework a little while ago. The new version is in the pool. You will find that there are lots of little rooms now instead of the sort of big, vast open spaces that we used to have. So it's a little bit of a defender's paradise. Lots of corners that need to be covered off. Attackers certainly having a bit of a wild chase sometimes, looking for those roamers, and the windows nowhere near as effective.
Don't forget as well, I feel like we're allowed to talk about it now. It's like at what time of year you're allowed to start talking about Christmas. And some people will say to you, start of November.
Or the one just gone or the one coming up?
The one coming up. I'd say normally start of December is a good time, but don't forget, reveal panel. A bit early. It is. Reveal panel coming up on the 24th as well. Already super excited. We started to see the teasers coming out today as well. We've seen co-streamers being announced for the live finals. This weekend's already shaping up to be incredible. Oh,
it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I cannot wait. I cannot even explain. I've been waiting for years. Ever since I did LATAM in 2020, I've been desperate to get to Brazil for a Siege event because I know how passionate the fans are out here. They absolutely love their Siege. We've seen a couple events before. We know how loud they get. We know how intense it is. And I, for one, cannot wait to get into that arena and watch all these teams play out because there's going to be an awful lot of fans there who appreciate every single move that the players are making, and they're going to be watching it with bated breath, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And Sao Paulo has been great so far, and it's going to get even better.
I'm sure it shall. The Monty band coming out. I'm not surprised because Bliss did kind of bully them around with that at the end of that and then that second map. Sorry, and admittedly, I think even with that taken away, you may have to see a Ying follow. Bliss going to take that way here. Again, I think it's just been very, very impressive throughout the series. Admittedly, different use cases from both teams there, but mainly trying to push in towards Pillar on that downstairs of Oregon. Solus, a staple ban throughout the series. We've seen a lot of Azami and Fenrir being picked up because those two have not been banned away. And our last ban coming out from Wolves on the defensive side is going to be the Valkyrie that we have seen a few times throughout the series.
Yeah, reasonably expected there. I did suggest that the Monty might come along after the impression that Bliss made, particularly Fisher Guy. So we will get into things. It's going to be round one. It's going to be Wolves on the defense. It's going to be Consulate. And one way or another in 12... or, dare I say, maybe 15 rounds time, Des, we are going to have a winner and we're going to have a loser. Somebody on the way home and somebody on the way through to a matchup with G2 tomorrow to decide whether they make it into our arena here in Sao Paulo or not. But let's kick things off here. And now, Consulate, it's going to be top floor and it's going to be Wolves holding.
And no surprises at all. We've got those same three operators coming along. The Azami, the Fenrir, and the Warden being brought along. Warden, I think, very, very strong. Again, knowing that we're seeing a lot of flashes being brought along. Some teams aren't playing Ying, but you often see 9 to 12 flashes in back pocket. And where we've really seen teams run over others on the attackers, and they've made great use of those flashes. Full white screening, multiple defenders, and just charging their way through the map. Still plenty of opportunity to see that, of course, in this game from Bliss, even without the Ying on side. Defensive-wise, we're starting things off, Tim, as you can see, up here on this top floor. And this central hallway that divides the two halves of this top floor, such a big point of contestation. Very commonly see teams attacking out towards the east side of things, getting control of break, getting control of hallway, and then looking for an execute into the site itself.
We've got the Nomad with Brendo, which would suggest maybe some window play will be coming in. No Amaru, so we don't expect the rapid plant in through there, but the air jabs could potentially be used just to prevent any exterior aggression coming in from Wolves, and we'll see whether they try that as we continue. As you say, if they do choose to go into admin, which looks like it could be the case, we've got Brendo and Oda over that side at the moment. If they choose to go in there, they're going to have to deal with that corridor. They're going to be somebody positioned likely behind the shield. It's going to be Bibu in by the vending machine, and he's going to make life as difficult as possible. He's got everything he can. Mute jammer. He will have no doubt an FNAT down by the stairs to prevent anybody pushing across too aggressively. For the time being, he does move off though and just leaves that position, and that could be a little bit of a mistake because the push is indeed coming from the admin side.
And hopefully Bliss read into this as well and start moving nice and quickly. Did see the FNAT already on those stairs coming up from Visa's side. Will be conscious that's maybe not the best angle to come pushing up through unless they manage to get rid of it. It was back into spot though, and ready to sit and hold and wait. And really, pray at this point, I think, because we've still got 100 seconds of the round to play. This is going to be rough for Bibu. They've blocked a lot of it off here as well with the sense when light wall coming across, sorry. Sage starts off, Bibu falls, and they've managed to clear things out nice and easy there just by obstructing Bibu's field of view. And maybe this is where you see someone like P4 being better placed to play behind that shield.
Yeah, great play from Bliss there. We said how much of a sticking point that corridor can generally be, but they've navigated it without a problem. 1 minute 20 left on the clock. We've got the Nomad of Order just stacked up on that meeting door. It's actually Brendo, sorry, just ready to potentially go in. Wetables joins with the diffuser, and there is going to be an opportunity to get a plant down. They're swarming all over site, just like the bees that we can see active. Shinka is trying to fight back. He's trying to get something going, but you can't hide behind the vending machines. You're going to get shut down. Brendo manages to find the kill, and that's 3 versus 1. I'm surprised this diffuser isn't going down yet, Des.
Yeah, Oda getting in with the 2K really opened things up for the side there. Similarly, actually, how to the last map started as well. Was marching through with a 3K, I believe it was, early on with the Lion, and things continue with a strong start for the side of Bliss. An attacking round win at that, Tim, is arguably the most important thing to note, because as we've seen throughout this series, we've seen both teams start off strong on the defense, and the attack is where things have really then been decided in the second half. So, can things continue this way for Bliss? Can they get an early lead over Wolves? If they're slow to wake up, the Aussie side could well be sending the French team home.
Well, for the first time tonight, Bliss are overall in the lead. They haven't, as of yet, been in a position to be in front of Wolves on the grand scale of things. But what a fantastic first round it was from them. They dealt with Bibu's position brilliantly, got themselves inside a meeting, and, you know, they had the opportunity maybe to put the plant down even sooner than they chose to go for it, but they knew that the kills were there, and they were confident in going on and taking them. And right now, you know, I remember what I said at the beginning, that the expectation was, you know, that Wolves would be potentially poised for getting through this one, even with a 2-0, but I tell you what, I don't mind being forced to eat my words, and right now, Bliss, they're pushing me to do exactly that. Love to see it, love to see it.
At what point do you think they'd really start getting worried on the side of Wolves, or any of their fans potentially at home that may be watching, of course, on Twitch right now, or YouTube, or anyone else? Take your pick. Starts to get nervous, I think, if you find yourself going down. Even 2 attacking rounds, 3, though, suddenly you start thinking, oh, crap. Because really the benchmark that's been set by top teams at the competition, looking at teams like Sonics, like FaZe, like EZ, like G2, it's really come from getting at least 3 attacking rounds and a half, and then just seeing the other side crumble when it comes to their attacking start. So to already have one of those 3, brilliant start for the Aussie side, but now got to keep on converting it into more. A few changes coming into the attacking as well as the defensive lineup here, to be fair. Still going to see the Azami and the Fenrir sticking on side, but away from the Warden, for example, the Mute staying as part of it, but the Mozzie doubling up with that Mute for some intel denial alongside the Legion is the key thing to watch out for.
Gonna see the due diligence being paid. We're gonna have default cams going out. Nitro will be pulled just a little bit too soon. Deadshot not finding his man, and also giving a vertical angle back through onto himself. So he's just gonna move to the other side of the wall there so that he's not overly exposed. Mowgli on the Legion, preventing any push down spiral. I like this from Wolves. They've got themselves active in the middle of the map. They're not giving up any ground willingly. They're not just allowing Bliss to go in and push onto site. They're starting to play into time, really, as a factor, trying to use that clock as a 6th man, and just trying to burn the seconds away from Bliss. But 1 minute 30, Bliss are going to start pressuring them soon, and they've no idea. They run into it completely blind. Brendo with a great opener onto P4.
And then Deadshot currently slightly tries to scurry his way away, but he's been pinched on the other side here. 1 behind, 1 in front. What can he really look to do about it? Mowgli, I thought, was going to pop up and help out, but no, he's left his man. Deadshot, though. He's found Oda on the stairs and managed to get away from things here. Real scary opportunity where Brendo, even if he was a little bit quicker, could have gotten behind him and saw the pinch come in, but no. Manages to slip the net, and now Wolves are the ones in a commanding number position.
Bibu finds Wetables. He also tries to take the hard breach off the hatch, but the impact nade will be unsuccessful, so that will leave the hatch open. 54 seconds left to go, and still plenty of time here for Bliss to work on this 3v4 and soften up sight a little bit, just looking for the long angles through towards the back of sight. Brendo's going to hold that. Bibu taken down from above. It was the hatch that he tried to stop being opened unsuccessfully that he gets punished from. Official guy finding another important one. 3 versus 3, but you just wonder, where is the opportunity to plant if they need it?
Oh, the longer angle, though, it's Deadshot. The man they missed out early on, he gets one back, Sage into another, down to a 2v1, and Deadshot's going good. Makes it 3 in the round, 1 more to find! But Fish goes huge, gets himself a couple, and closes out the round.
Well, 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 Bliss make it 2-0, and they are starting to get some momentum on the attack. It's looking absolutely great for them in the first 2 rounds. Fisher Guy closing out a close round there, much closer than round 1, and I think, to be honest, that one's going to sting for Wolves because it was so close coming down to that 1v1 effectively at the end. Mowgli was down, but it was still there for Deadshot to win.
Admittedly, mainly off the back of Mowgli. It's not Mowgli, sorry, Deadshot. As I mentioned, a 3K for himself in the round. Really thought he was going on for a 4, but it was Fisher who came out on top with the shots through the smoke to convert it into a second attacking round win. And Tim, I said 3 really was the golden standard that many of the teams who have done well on the attack have met. Bliss have already found 2. They win another. Wolves are going to be in disarray.
You just wonder about the mental for Wolves at the minute. I'm not, I'm sure that they will have come in here knowing that they would have had a game off Bliss. They wouldn't for a second have dared to think that, this is going to be easy work. We can get this done. But they will have come in here, I'm sure, confident and hopeful that they could get themselves through to that EU matchup with G2 to decide who goes on to the live finals. But right now, Wolves are seriously on the back foot, and you've just got to wonder how much is this a position that they prepared for? How much is this going to run away from them quickly? They've got to get out of the heads and into the server.
I mean, I said several times over as well, it pins on these 2 players, Deadshot and Mowgli. Mowgli's had a terrible start to the map so far. I know it's 0-2. You're going, well, it's not that bad, Des. There's plenty of time to fix it in, but he hasn't been a big influence on the outcome of those rounds as a result of going down early. Sure, Deadshot came close. Tell you what, speaking of close, there's a pixel angle, and now Mowgli, a speaker into existence, I swear to God, finds Brendo early on. Good start for Wolves.
I think that's desperately what Wolves needed. They need to get aggressive now. Bibu tried to play in behind the shield previously. He can do now because they've got the entry kill. But I think just allowing Bliss to play their attack, to come on in, use their utility, that was their undoing. And we saw how easily Bibu was taken out of that position. So I like what they've done there, Wolves. Get aggressive, get in there, take the fight to Bliss. Let them know that there is nothing, not a single inch, going to come easily for them on Consulate.
Well, they've got the sense on side again. We saw them use this to great effect last time round to unsettle the Fenrir of Bibu. Sat in behind that shield in the central hallway. Also got the Azami dancing around, dropping. Oh!
How's that for siege time?
Odar becomes Odin, shuts down Mowgli. He's the one that you want out of the round. 4v4, still early on, but the Azami gone. The charge is offline. A lot harder now to lock down that central hallway. And sure enough, Wolves seem to agree as Bibu has abandoned the hallway. Means Bliss can advance on forwards, and now they're breathing down the neck of Wolves on this site.
That's it, they've given up a lot of map control here on the top floor to Bliss now. 1 minute 15 seconds, they're waiting for that Goyo canister to burn out. Not convinced that there isn't somebody behind the vending machine, but I think after the nade goes off, Sage is now satisfied that that is the case. Just being held at bay by Shinka for the time being from the top of Spiral. Bibu manages to get a big double order, answers back, but Deadshot's there, and that leaves us now 1v3. Fisher Guy, he's had some big clutches. Does he have another one in him? That's the question.
Oh, man.
That's 1v2. Can he make it 1v1? He's got all the time in the world. He could dip away from this. He can choose when and where to take his fights. But for now, he's going to keep pushing from the closet.
He's got time to play with here as well. We've got to see patience from Wolves. And patience is shown. They finally get themselves on the board. 2-1 to Bliss.
Wolves going, well, a good round for them. They needed something to try and turn the momentum. And for me, Bliss need to be careful that they don't let Wolves back into this. They've got the opportunity. It feels like they've got Wolves on the ropes and they just rain in body blows into them, Des. But Wolves, they've managed to push back. They've found that bit of energy to get themselves back into the fight. And they are the sort of team that can just hit you with that big haymaker. And Bliss need to be careful that they don't allow that to happen.
Could it be the start of the turnaround and the swing back towards the French side, or the Bliss keep this party rolling? On towards one of the off-sites, the split site, Tim. We used to love seeing this back on the old days of Consulate, normally opening up the entirety of the floor inside the tellers and playing it from below with a pulse with C4s. Not a whole lot has changed, as you can probably see here. We've got 3 C4s in back pocket. We've got 2 bulletproof cams that no doubt will be positioned inside of this site upstairs, and you look to play denial from below. Bliss can then either say, cool, we accept that challenge and try and make a plant happen inside of the site itself, or they can sweep their way across from Garage all the way towards the B site and look to hit things a bit more directly, or as a third option, going from the east, going through Secret or Box or whatever the hell you want to call it, and make a plant happen from the far east side.
Yep, Mowgli's going to be positioned out on the yellow stairs. We've got Shinka and P4 all the way back deep in sight, so Wolves are really trying to hold on to the entirety of this map on that basement level, and it's a big one to try and cover off in its totality. Is Consulate a lot of space to cover.
This one here, looking in towards Secret. With it currently being electrified, they need Sage to come over. I believe he's just rounding himself over to join the team. Here he is now. So a whole team effort here. A little bit of team bonding to get themselves inside a Secret, and with the Ossa on side, I think it's quite well orchestrated at that point exactly where the push is going to come from. It's going to be down this server hallway, cross into server, in behind the Ossa shield. But only with that simple, Tim, because P4 is stationed, ready and waiting in quite an aggressive angle here with the shotgun in hand. Will be able to fall back here to the rest of his team at a moment's notice. Everyone else making sure that the main site upstairs is for now at least still closed off and secure.
One of the big difficulties for Bliss now, if this doesn't work out, is they've only got 3 drones left on side. Done a great job of clearing them out. And there's the support P4 needed, but no, went for the Nitro at a bad time. Shinka and P4 both losing their lives, and that is a great start for Bliss in this round. 3 versus 5, Deadshot taking a lot of damage, and still 1:30 left.
Love how Fisher's just gone in there and dropped Shank straight onto P4. 5v3 is a great spot to be in, although I'm looking towards Sage and thinking, okay, boys, they need you. Where are you, my man? You rotated off somewhere. In fact, it's just rejoined the team back as a 4 again. So that wall taken out by the EMP will get opened up. And suddenly angles start to come online for Fisher to get in, get this shield down and make a plant happen against just Mowgli and Bibu.
Mowgli's made his way back down, and this could be that Bliss aren't quite aware of him just in the server stacks there. Bibu holding an alternative angle. Mowgli gets 1. Can he find 2? He knows he's playing against a shield now, and things are going to get rough. Vertical pressure as well as Fisher Guy manages to find Bibu. Plant going down. There's so little that Mowgli can do here. Surely a matter of time, and there it is. Sage picks up the final kill, and what an attack coming in from Bliss. You suggested, Des, that Consulate might just be their map, and they really are showing exactly why that's the case.
Oh boy, and more than anything, Tim, forget about the Monty. It was those 3 attacking rounds that I was looking for, and they have found them. I did a quick dig just now to look at actually what the defender stats are like for Consulate and how things are currently shaped up. It is one of our more defender-leaning maps at 62% so far at this tournament.
Tell that to Bliss.
I know, they're really shaking things up in that sense. And understandably, Wolves want this tack timeout because things are going from bad to worse. A reminder, they lose this map. That is it. Your tournament is over. It doesn't matter how well you played during the group stage. It doesn't matter how well you played in the upper bracket. It doesn't matter how well you've done with anything, Tim. If you can't deliver here when it's needed most, it will be another tournament that Wolves find themselves leaving early, and they'll be once again asking those questions about themselves. What do we need to do to go deeper at these tournaments?
Exactly, it will be a big disappointment. It's so tough to, I don't want to call it a mistake. It's one of those things that happens. You're trying to get the Nitro out, but you just feel from Shinka's perspective there, you've got your own player down there, and I think that's probably what he realised. He went out to get the Nitro, and then kind of 2 things happened. I think he kind of thinks, oh, P4's down there, but also, oh my word, there's 3 of them down there.
Target paralysis.
Yeah, I need to have my gun out here, and that you can't take the peak with the Nitro there. You know the push is coming, you know the shield is there. P4's feeding that information in, and it's a tough one. You know, on a different day, the Nitro sails out, he gets a double or a triple, he saves the round, and I'm saying how fantastic it was. So I'm not being critical, it's just it was an important turning point of the round because he couldn't make that challenge. Everybody ended up dead in terms of that hold. P4 and Shinka both ending up dead, and it was a tough one for Wolves, but 3-1 it is for Bliss. They've done fantastically well. I love how simple that pushdown secret was for them. As soon as the flashbang went in, you knew that they were coming away successful from that push.
Taking a drone back upstairs with them here. Dead shot on the Mozzie. Picked out one of those so far. No doubt looking for a couple more across the round just to strip that information away from Bliss. Paired up alongside the Mute once again. The theme across a few of these rounds so far for the French side. I'm wondering what's going to change massively about the defensive side of things. It, of course, was their timeout. They're the ones who realize the defenses are not going according to plan. It may just be they've seen a few sites rotated through and think, okay, there are small things we can fix on each site here. Let's talk about it. Or you might see a drastic change in the way that they approach them too.
Sage already established inside of the map. He's looking, he's got the red ping information. He knows that Mowgli is playing it a little bit aggressive at the top of Spiral, and he's thinking about potentially just picking him up. They're aware, Brendo, there of the potential flank coming in. They need to clear out this top floor. They cannot leave this alone, Bliss.
Well, this is the thing. They've got a bit of a pinch going on here as well. A bit of a pinch between the players. Mowgli with a few shots does actually start hitting Sage. Not enough to finish him off by any stretch of the imagination, but enough to remind him we are still here and we are still deadly.
Everywhere Mowgli looks, there are blue silhouettes on our screen. They are completely surrounded here, and it's going to be difficult for Deadshot and him to get away with their lives. What they need to do is try and take a few with them. Brendo is on the hunt. Mowgli manages to find one. Oda is there for the trade, but Deadshot gets another. 3 versus 3, but the damage is done. This is what I said. It's not, they cannot escape from it. They were surrounded, but they have to take a couple with them, and that's exactly what they've done. Well played there from the 2 roamers on Wolves.
From the 2 roamers, but also from the attacking side as well. It was 1 for 1 for 1 for 1, back and forth. Every time someone got a kill, there was a trade within a second or two straight after. It's a good team play being shown by the roamers, but also by Bliss. Obviously a little bit unfortunate here. They've lost 1 more out to P4, which means there's just 2 left to try and make this attacking round work.
Yeah, and that is going to be difficult on a basement attack. Wettables is definitely a point to the credit. Having the book in hand can go in and start opening up some of those verticals. He's getting a little bit of information as well, which would suggest that there is a drone in sight just telling him, and that is meaning that Wolves are being chased out and out and out of sight. Sage on the ram as well. Really the 2 perfect operators to be left in this sort of situation, because they can absolutely shred the ceiling above the head of Wolves, but time is going to start becoming a factor. 30 seconds. Wolves, they've dipped out of sight. They're happy to hold at range, and they're going to force these drops.
Make use of the noise coming out of the ram here to make this work, and sure enough, lies down. Frog spreads straight in towards the back of sight. They'll try and make a plant happen here if they want to, but one's already gone down. Finds the Azartmi, gets the down. Can Wettables do it all? Being challenged from a couple of different angles here, and he's got no time left. He's going to have to try and stick this plant, I think, otherwise it's done. He pulls off, gets rid of Shinka, but P4's done enough. Hides himself away. Couple of seconds more, that could have been a very different outcome, and Wolves get another defensive round.
Wolves are fighting absolutely tooth and nail here. All credit to them. They are absolutely, despite the performance from Bliss on Consulate so far, Wolves are refusing to roll over. This is not a wolf that's going to have its belly scratched. They are there to take a bite out of the opposition and nothing less. They are absolutely fighting for their lives in this tournament, keeping it close, 2-3. They will be absolutely desperate for a 3-3 half to give them at least half an opportunity when they get onto the attack.
Little side note, but I just saw the University of Wolverhampton sponsor on Wolves' jerseys, and I always remind myself every now and then, it's like, it's mad that a place, what, half an hour down the road from me is an esports team that I'm commentating on. Still feels absolutely bizarre. And for those who don't know, of course, Wolves, they're not the Wolves, as you hear so many people say. They are Wolves because they're Wolverhampton Wanderers.
It's short for Wolverhampton.
Yes, it's a football team that we've got in the UK, and seeing them in esports is a wonderful thing to see. A team getting involved in a different sport as well, one a little bit outside the norm. And of course, the support for this French side after Team Vitality bowed out has been excellent to date. No doubt proud of them, but always wanting to see, can they push things to new heights? And Wolves always asking themselves that exact same question. As I've already mentioned, they make deep runs, and the wheels just kind of come off as they get towards the most kind of upper end important stages of that competition. Normally top 8 is where they expect to end, and sometimes fall a little bit short, but really want to be able to consistently push past that. And it's really got to start with this map. A comeback here is what they've got on their mind, but Bliss have already put up a massive challenge before them.
Shinka taking a little bit of damage there. I don't know how random that spray through the barricade was, but I think there was maybe a little information to hand as well to suggest that the cap can had been played in and around that area, so not ideal for Shinka to be taking that damage so early into the round, but also not critical. He gets himself back to site and can continue playing there. Going to be working the windows. We've seen every time they've attacked onto this site, it has come from admin and then in through meeting door. Fisher Guy does manage to spot out the double stack of the EDDs, so they will be cleared out, and that will allow them then to push on and up towards meeting door. Nobody is covering that vending machine that we spoke about earlier, so access in here is fairly free.
Yeah,
Shinka is below.
The setup.
Is he below? Shinka is below with a Nitro pre-placed though.
Yeah, Deadshot as well is hanging around down there, so they're trying to play things a bit differently rather than holding on to a space that is normally so easily overwhelmed by the Aussie side. Looking to play from below, famously called Coffin historically, Tim, as well, for that exact purpose. You step in there, you're getting C4'd. This time around, no one's falling down too early on. half the round has gone by as well, but at least we're seeing this lineup change out of Wolves. Kind of force Bliss to pause and reassess.
This is kind of exactly what I wanted out of this match. I said I wanted plenty of it. It's close. It's within one round, and you can feel how cautious both teams are starting to become. Neither of them wants to give anything away too easily. Mowgli manages to pick up the first, but look at that from Wolves. It's a collapse within half a second. Bliss fall apart, and Wolves take their final defense. They level it up 3-3, and that's uncharacteristic of the Bliss attack so far. They've known everything that's been going on ahead of them, but not that time.
No, I think it was just really good play out of Wolves. They sort of sprung a trap as soon as Bliss crossed the line. As soon as the trigger was there, they came to life. The Vigil getting away without being seen as well just maybe shows a little bit on the droning side of things there, perhaps just missing that crucial bit of information. And Bibu on the Echo of all things to charge forward and get a 2K at the end is a little bit bonkers. You're seeing kind of in the outline at the top of your screen now, just starts his move after getting one kill and marches on to pick up the pieces from where the Vigil fell. Good stuff to close things out. Wolves do get that 3-3 split, but Tim, saying that Wolves get that 3-3 split, it feels a lot more like Bliss are the ones getting it. 3 attacking rounds is fantastic.
Yeah, they've done really well. Wolves have managed to get 2 rounds since the tactical timeout. So, you know, whatever interjection Liloon had during that time, Bibu as well, no doubt, talking to the team, giving them the direction. It certainly worked. They've got 2 rounds. It was well timed. They've steadied the ship. 3-3, and I've got a feeling that we could be on for an absolute classic third map.
Sure hope so, Tim. I sure hope so. I think a lot is going to be told in these first couple of rounds here, more in terms of the quality of Wolves' attacks than anything else. We mentioned coming into the series, these two teams are bottom 5 at the whole competition for attacking win rate success to date. Wolves, 71+% it was on the defensive side of things. That no doubt has fell, given how that first half went, much more like 50% on Consulate. But I do worry about their attacking prowess. If Bliss can put up a good show on the defense here, they're the team going on to face G2 tomorrow.
Nerves are a funny thing, Des. They can change those statistics in a heartbeat. You know, defences that were once so strong can fall apart, and attackers that struggled can find that bravery and that adrenaline that will push them through the rounds and win gunfights they might otherwise have lost, and that's what the French fans, have no doubt, are going to be hoping for here. Wolves shaping up towards an admin take. There isn't too strong a presence inside the meeting corridor from Bliss here, and they do have one player out there. Wettables is inside of Coffin at the minute, just trying to again pressure this admin push, not allow them in, not allow them to get boots on the ground.
Yeah, so far Bliss opting to play a much more mobile, light defense out towards this side. Wettables inside a Coffin. You've got the Frost also dancing around Break, as you can see here. Similar spots where Bibu was playing, but no shield to support it. And interestingly, leaving the third panel into admin, soft there that you saw a second ago, with a lovely rotation for it, it means that he can help support onto these window holes alongside Wettables. So I like how Bliss, you know, halfway into the round have really got up in the face of Wolves and stopped them from getting this admin control. And this, I think, is where the French side will start to panic. They're going to have to start using quite a lot of utility to get their way inside. You can see flashes coming out. You can see Brim canisters coming out too, because they realise Bliss have held them at bay. Really good defense from Bliss so far.
Yeah, they've done a great job of burning 2 minutes there. P4's looking to get aggressive, but they're only just inside of admin. Like you said, they need to recognise here the corridor is free. They can take the ground. They have to take the ground. They need to move forward. They're just checking that bottom area near the vending machine on the drones now. They will recognise nobody there. Instead, they're trying to hold here Bliss from the top of Spiral Stairs, but smoke canisters still in pocket can burn even more time. This is going to be down to a last 30, maybe even 20-second bloodbath to come in, and Wolves, they just need to hope that they come out on top of it. Sage, he could have a field day here. There's 2 out ahead of him. He can't find either as Mowgli manages to find the opener. 4 versus 3 though, as the kills start coming in. 20 seconds.
Still 2 to hold on though, and they come through for Bliss. Great first round hold. I commented on it earlier on, but the hold out towards admin was sublime. And although Wolves might have started a good push at top Spiral, elsewhere, things went by the wayside, and the Aussie team pull out ahead first in this second half. Up to 4-3 they go.
That was really, really good from Bliss. Fantastic defense. They didn't even need to hold meeting corridor. They instead aggressed beyond it and just burnt so much time inside of admin. Wolves just didn't have the key to that lock. They couldn't get themselves in. And like you said, they had to mix things up. They had to adapt, which they did. They were flexible. They said this is going to have to be a spiral push instead. And it just didn't work out for them. You feel like they just played in to the hands of Bliss, who were there ready and waiting to shut them down, and they did exactly that. Great stuff from the Australian side. They go ahead once again by the finest of margins, and Wolves, they're going to keep looking for that first attack.
Right, down we go to Expo then for the second round of this half. Going to be a big vertical round, I expect here, Tim. So not hugely dissimilar to the previous round. You'll probably see Bliss getting themselves up on the top floor and looking to hold things through vertical angles they'll establish inside of what's normally the go-to sites on the upstairs in terms of meeting and in terms of office. So for Wolves, I'd expect to see them coming again towards admin, pushing their way in from there. I don't think we'll see too crazy an attack like you've seen sometimes on this site where it's an Amaru into site window. There's a frostbite waiting for them, for example. No doubt Bliss will be aware that so many teams have tried to attack in that way. Best way to get around it? Not give them the option to push in because of those frost mats and everything else you'll throw at them.
Again, it's going to be about a top floor take coming in from Wolves here. A number of the Bliss players, 3 at last count, are up there. And again, they're just going to try to burn as much time as possible. Wolves need to find kills. It's the only way that they're going to discourage this kind of hold from Bliss. You know, the more times that they are successful, the more times that they burn 2 minutes, the more times that Wolves just feel like they can't set foot in the map, the more they are going to do this. A lot of utilities been reined in. They try to send the Blitz. Wettable shuts it down. Order as well. This is looking good for Bliss once again. A minute wasted, 2 deaths, and they are sitting pretty.
And Milky finding 1 through Bathroom's huge, makes it a second as well. Finds out Fisho, just those angles not being respected as much as they should be by the Aussie side. Still find themselves in a 4v3, mind you. And I think Mowgli, rightly so, is quite scared about that yellow stairs soft wall. We're going to take a Bliss player to pop up there with a shotgun, for example, and do him in from that closer range. So instead, has rotated himself away, looking more directly in towards yellow itself. We'll then try and make the step forward from there.
I think there's going to be a few fingernails getting bitten down amongst the Australian fans here, Des. They sat there thinking they're doing it. They're really doing it. This might be the moment that we get that big victory that pushes us even deeper, that gets us that grandstand matchup against G2 to decide who goes to the live stages. And it's getting exciting for Bliss. Brendo, he's holding this angle. Wolves are not going to play into it. It looks like they're going to head straight down yellow here, but this could be a real problem for them.
Stop the snake walk down as well. All 3 players just backed up quietly, but given away by the F-Nat. We're used to seeing that one. The gunshots should give the game away. Mowgli gets Brendo to 3v3. Oh, Oda's in such a great spot as well. Unless they're willing to check this corner, he could get himself a pretty easy double off the back of this one. He'll see the gun barrels coming through first. But do they know about his presence? I don't think they do.
I'm not sure that they do. The red ping's coming out. He's telling Order all that he needs to know. The ram comes through. That gives him his opportunity. He gets one. Can't get the other. Mowgli and Shinka do it. And Wolves level things up. 4-4. And Bliss, they've got to feel hard done to in that round. They had it in the palm of their hands. There's 5 versus 3 after the first minute. And they just couldn't stop the Wolves' attack.
You can just see exactly where this game is headed, Tim. Blow for blow between the two, the 3-3 into the 4-4. I imagine it will carry on with this sort of trend. Not going to see a repeat of that sight, though, coming out from Bliss, instead heading down into the garage. And even that gunfight there, just seeing Oda get the jump on one and immediately get traded out, it's just literal back and forth between the two teams. So hard to call how these rounds play out.
It's been absolutely fantastic. So if I'm just looking at the minute quickly at how the entry has gone, and even that, there is very little to separate them. Just looking through 1, 2, 3, 4 each. There is absolutely nothing. A sheet of paper could not separate these two days. They are so close in terms of entry, score on the scoreboard, kills across the players. Everybody is involved. Everybody is contributing. And right now, everybody desperately wants to win. And everybody at home desperately wants to see as many rounds of this as we possibly can.
Well, looking at the lineup in this round for Wolves, immediately your eyes are drawn towards the Ossa and the Capital. Spoke about Capital to the death, but Ossa, more than anything else, normally the one that you see stepping in with those shields and getting the diffuser down from the safety of cover, supported, of course, by teammates around. But I expect to see Shinka drop that and give it away to Bibu as this round wears on. If nothing else, it suggests that you will see a pretty standard execute coming in here. Don't think we'll see anything too fancy, like trying to work their way down Spiral or a backstab up through server. Going to be pretty stock standard. Let's get the breach open and see what we can do.
It's kind of smart because there are players up on the top floor and there's not too much that they can do. Yes, they can flank down yellow, but you only need one person to hold that and you can do it from outside of the map. So it's not actually too difficult to prevent those flanks coming down, especially with air jabs on the board as well. That could completely lock off yellow stairs. So if they get this breach open, Wolves can just go brute force and try and get in. They've just got to be cautious over these vertical angles from Piano. Or through Piano, rather.
They let the wall get opened up there. I really thought when I looked up and down the roster and saw 4 more impacts in back pocket that they'd be able to deny it, but no, don't quite get away with it. Mowgli again refuses to go home. He's found himself waking up in the second half a little bit, brings down Fisher Guy. 5v4. Everything is about, again, the Ossa, that diffuser, now in the hands of Bibu. Shinka's traded that one away now that the wall has been opened up. Starch still trying to find his way in by the looks of it through yellow, Tim.
Wettables has taken a lot of damage along the way as well. The Vigil, he's going to be sneaking down. He will get past the drone. The impact nade trying to stop the air jab, but no, that is going to signal the presence of order on the flank. And this is what I said. It's so easy to lock down that yellow stairs flank realistically. The Ossa shield pointing in that direction. The flashbang out. It's all going to force order back. But what progress are Wolves making towards getting this diffuser down? And the answer right now is not too much. Bibu, however, manages to get in with the shield. An important kill onto Wettables. He's going to be able to get the plant down here, Des, potentially. But the vertical could be an issue. But Bibu sees him. He finds the kill. He starts putting the case down.
But they can see him as well. It doesn't matter about the Ossa shield when you're not having someone cover that angle. You are offline, your gun not available. While the diffuser is going down, it's still a numbers advantage for Wolves though. Can Oda, can Brendo do anything to bring this back? Finds one, not intentionally, but the Capcan does all that he needs.
They can't be losing lives like that, Wolves. They will recover the diffuser. There's an opportunity potentially for P4 to put this down, but no. Wolves made a conscious choice not to clear the top floor, Des, and it's really starting to bite them in the backside because they've lost multiple opportunities to put the diffuser down, and here comes Order. He gets one.
Brendo, he's on for 4.
Has leveled it, but the diffuser is down, and Bliss hold on.
That was an unbelievable giveaway by Wolves. A fantastic defense by Bliss, don't take me wrong, but they had everything. They had the cover. They had main breach. They'd killed 3 players on the side of Bliss. They'd even got the reverse vertical. Bibu had done everything, but he can't cover himself when the diffuser is going down. And as you say, Tim, they can see top floor. Look, 5v2 at this point. And it was so well played. Brendo, you got to give him the shout out, especially 4 kills in the round for him.
I feel like part of the problem there potentially for Bibu was that he'd put the shield down a little bit too soon, so he couldn't get in behind the pillar. You know, really, if he can get in behind that pillar, it prevents that angle that he gets fired upon from, but it was just absolute chaos inside of the site. Everybody did everything they could to get that job done. As I say, Wolves made a conscious choice there. I said at the beginning of the round, if there's a number of people off in the map, there is the potential for leaving them out there in the cold, so long as you can deal with the vertical angles from Piano, and that is the bit that Wolves overlooked, and they were punished for it. Bliss 5-4, and this one just rumbles on with nobody able to take clear advantage yet.
And that reminder, Wolves do not have attack timeout. Bliss win this round and put themselves at 6-4. There's no time for pause. There's no time to come up with a plan to get those 2 rounds that you desperately need to steal away. We'll have to figure things out live and in the moment. Here turning over towards that blitz. Once again, Wolves have really enjoyed leaning in towards shields. Now, arguably, with the Monty Band coming on through after seeing Bliss really bully them with it last time around. Shields in this game, at least, have fallen onto the French side's favour instead. As you saw from that Ossa last round, it does not secure a round win.
No, I mean, hopefully they'll pay attention to the vertical as well. I don't know if the plan is going to be to go in through CEO window right now. P4's out there with the diffuser. Mowgli's there on the gridlock with the track stingers, so there could be a thought of potentially planting inside, but there is order underneath on the Thorn. They have to be aware of that, because if they go in there, the floor's already opened up. They're just going to get shot from beneath, so they need to be very careful here, Wolves, to make sure they don't have to clear the entire map, but they do have to clear enough of it. They have to make sure that they're in control of those danger areas. In this case, Piano.
Hold on for now. Wolves
And they've got to clear this out.
And they've got to really be explosive if they're going to pull this off. You know, there's no Ying on side to really make this pop. No Amaro to zip in. It's going to be a pretty standard execute off the back of it, but the Grim is going to be a huge part of it. P4 unleashing hell with those hive launchers. Traps coming in too, but the player dug in. They've found him out with the Grim there. They know that Wedables is close. They've got to win the one, and they do not do that. Managed to get him out in the end from up on high. However, Blitz is inside, and Bibu's now got to crack this one wide open if they're going to make this work.
The timing just wasn't there for them. Deadshot didn't manage to find the one behind the desk. Mowgli does manage to recover the diffuser. Takes an awful lot of damage doing it. If you're going to go for a plant there, Des, there are two areas that you need to check. One is Piano, the other is behind the desk, and then you can control the half wall from the window. And they just failed on that second one, and Wettables punished them for it. Well played from Bliss. It was a gamble, it was a risk, but it paid off, and right now they are fighting hard to keep Wolves out of this site.
Still got one smoke in back pocket as well. Of course, not a lot of HP available. They've given it over to Shinka instead, who went in for a plant then a second ago, but has not managed to complete. No! Oh, I thought it was for a second. Brendo got on, but no, it was Sage on the backstab. Has found one onto himself. The Blitz finds one back, but he's down. He's out. Wolves have only got two left, and these could be the last couple of kills to send Bliss through to map and series points.
Shinka does have diffuser in hand. That is a point to the credit of Wolves, but Bliss, they're just going to hold their lines of sight now exactly like that. Brendo shuts down Mowgli. Beautiful return fire from Shinka for the trade, but it's a 1v2 with 15 seconds, and they know exactly where he's coming from. He doesn't have time to alter it. He doesn't have time to change. He doesn't have a boost. He just has to go in, and Fisher Guy is there with the shotgun, led prone, shuts down his man, and the Australians are on the verge of knocking out Wolves.
We hear you, boys. We hear you. French hearts being broken, Aussie ones being
What
complete.
a story, though. What a story.
I can't help but come back to how the tournament's gone for them as well. So many games have come so close. 7-5s, overtimes consistently. You know, arguably 5 rounds change, and Bliss were coming into this as an upper bracket team and storming their way through. That's just how close it's been for them, and it feels now with the two... They've thrown bigger leads than this, Tim. They've got a 2-round lead, but the thing is, this time it just feels that little bit different. 1 round is all they need, and Wolves go home.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. There is a big difference between the next round they need to win and the 6 that they have won before it. Do I believe that Bliss can do it? Absolutely, Des. They've converted me, and it's been fantastic watching them throughout this game. They have made an unreal competition of this, and Wolves, I will say, I dare say, you know, they'll know they've been in a game after this one, win or lose. Bliss have certainly left a mark. So, we come into round 11. Will Wolves guarantee all 12, or will Bliss be able to finish it here and now and send Wolves packing back to France?
Whew. Well, it's definitely built up to be that map we thought it was going to be. We said those first two, a little bit stompy, a bit one-sided. The first one to Wolves, the second to Bliss. And we had no idea what to expect coming into Consulate. Sure, there's that history of Bliss winning 7-2. And although history does tend to have a tendency to repeat itself, at SI, not quite. Not when these kind of stakes are on the line. You go home if you lose this one, Wolves. It's your last chance to work a little bit of magic. On that defensive side of things for now, again, they've abandoned their way out towards the east side of the map. And rather than relying solely on C4s, they've got Wedables playing on at the on the pole, below with that C4, but also with the information game. A couple of C4s could be the difference here as well. Fish out a couple of those players, and they've already found one. Down goes Shinka, but the immediate trade is there. Deadshot, getting rid of Oda.
It is something that Wolves have done well. Both sides have done well, to be fair. It's not really fair to just single Wolves out. Bliss have always had the trades there. The man count has been very even generally. There's not many rounds that we've seen sort of 1v4, 1v5. It just hasn't happened because these two teams have been playing exactly as that. They've really had each other's backs, and right now we're sat in a 4v4, and we're going to see how the rest of this one plays out.
I was going to say, please not like this.
Hopefully we're going to see. And there we go. We're back in.
We will. All sorted. All sorted. We've got a way around this now. We have the technology. It's been resolved. 1 minute and 15 left. I'm worrying for this point for Wolves. Yes, they've got this vertical control, but look at where Bliss are playing. Pretty much all of them out of line of sight, have just stepped off site, ready for a retake when it comes down to it. Enough control in their hands in this last 60. A single slip up by Wolves could be seeing them go home.
That's it. If they get this wrong, and I'm not sure that they're aware of Sage, he's watching the hatch from 2 floors down, Des. He's got a real angle here,
man.
and that's exactly where Bibu's going to drop with the diffuser. And if that happens, it could be good night, Wolves. Sage, he knows that they're there. They're just teasing him at the minute. He's watching for those pickles. There he goes.
Oh,
he's got around it. Sage has let him drop Bibu. He's going to start getting the diffuser down, but Sage, he uses the impact nade. It won't stop Wolves, though, as the diffuser is planted, but the kills come in. Brendo picks up the first. Who will be successful?
All they needed was that one kill. It just came in half a second too late. Diffuser would have been stopped. And now they've got to retake top floor, Tim. That ground they didn't bother about holding has to be theirs. Brendo's getting in. They're trying to push top floor while he's trying to make it happen, but they can find absolutely nothing. Fish drops in. Going to try and stick the same himself. It's a 2 versus 2. Peels off, but the vertical is there. P4 has got the cover, and they won't be able to do it. All the way up to 12 rounds for this one, Tim. Last chance saloon for Wolves to send us to overtime.
What an absolute screamer we are witnessing to finish the day. I tell you what, if you were getting ready to go to bed, forget about it, because the adrenaline is going to be sky high at the end of this one. I know I've got about another 6 or 7 hours left in me after this before I'll be able to sleep. What an absolute treat so far, and this is really delivering on everything we hoped it would be. Bliss 6-5. That is one opportunity burnt to close this one out. They have one more before we go to the dreaded overtime.
The dreaded?
Not for us, for them.
Highly welcomed, I think, Tim, is the answer you're looking for there. For them, though, yes. Let them be the ones that relish in the moment. Let us enjoy it. And they can be the ones to deal with the pressure.
Here we go then. It's going to be round 12. The calm before the storm. Wolves, last time around, were able to get good top floor control. They were able to work their way into site and get that plant down, and then the post plant was fantastic as well. They kept that verticality in place, and there was absolutely nothing that Bliss could do. But Bliss so far have been great on the defense of playing these extensions away from site, of finding kills and burning time. And are they going to be able to make a repeat of that, or will the sheer weight of this round that they need to haul over the line just prove too much for them, Des?
2 really defining moments in that last round, with Bibu managing to get the drop through the hatch just narrowly as well. A couple of shots could have been enough. And also the kill that came onto Bibu about a quarter of a second after he managed to finish the plant. It's a matter of timing in 2 different separate moments in that round that made the difference. Clearly, Bliss feel they've still got the answer. We're back on that same site again. They feel that what they've got in mind is the right solution, and that it just came down to those 2 moments that went against them.
Shinka's going to be getting the closet open. That's just going to give a little bit of access. He's going to need some support there if he is to do that. No Thatcher on side. They've got the EMPs for Deadshot, but he's going to have to make his way over there if they want that wall opened up. It doesn't have to be done immediately. Hibana can breach that remotely at distance, so they can wait, but time is ticking by. 1:10. There we go. There's the pocket EMP, which will allow those X-Kairos now to be detonated. That might just make Bliss feel a little bit less comfortable to hold on to meeting.
Even if someone doesn't play the angle, it's still that phantom pressure that comes on through, that there could be someone stepping into Cubby and looking to challenge into meeting itself. And so through sheer pressure of that, it will force Bliss to at least dedicate some of the mental resource over towards it, to have a player aware that that vertical angle could be assumed at any given moment. And that's why you're seeing Fisher Guy still hanging up on that side of the map. KB Cool rings out through the map, the first of two. Deadshot still with one more in back pocket, but no one has gone down here, Tim. You can feel that tension, and I speak it into existence once again. It's P4 to fall, a second as Mowgli comes down to Bliss are into a 5v3.
It looks like they could do it, Des. They've got the man advantage. They've got the map control. Wolves, it's now or never. You find these 5 kills or get the diffuser down or you go home. It's as simple as that. Deadshot taken down. Bibu low health. Shinka's going to try to plant, but no. Bliss, they do it in style with a flawless round. The Aussies are not down under right now, Des. They're on top of the world as the Six Invitational dream continues for Bliss.
Absolutely huge series. It started a bit slow, but things accelerated for the Australian side. But the French, not quite the same story, Tim. Mowgli still having a big performance on 12 kills, but once again, they've got towards a significant stage in a competition and just fallen short, and to a team who, as I said, they've already played 6 maps against each other over the last 3 months. Add that tally to be 9. These guys are rivals destined to face one another. What a performance. But sadly, Tim, the reward that awaits you is a game against G2 tomorrow.
The thing is, let's be honest, Bliss have just come into a game that realistically is of that kind of scale. You know, Wolves are a team who play regularly against G2, win, lose, you know, they're there with them. And Bliss have just come in and they've just taught Wolves that they, you know, can do the job. So they are not going to be scared of G2, and G2 need to be watching that VOD and prepping for tomorrow. They need to be prepared for this Bliss team to take it to them.
And bring it to them, I'm very sure they will. What a series they've just put up.
Playing without fear.
That's it. I mean, that last map as well, like the genius setup they had in the prior to last round, back in round 11. Just super smart approach to it. Yes, it didn't work out, but you've got to appreciate the ideas for the times that they do work out. And even then, to have the goal to go back into the same site in round 12 and get that over the line to close out the series just shows a little bit of confidence building in these boys. APAC is still here, Tim. They're still ready to play.
What a matchup we have just witnessed. Absolutely fantastic stuff from Bliss. And right now it's kind of difficult to not just get behind them and think, you know, what a team. If you were coming in here as a neutral and thinking, who should I support? Who should I back? Who should I cheer on? It's difficult to have watched that game and not think, you know what? I'm going to get behind Bliss.
That wasn't the most Aussie thing I've ever just seen. Is Xenox coming into the room, beer in hand, fist pumping like, yeah, get in.
Telling us to shush. I'm telling you to shush. I haven't given him any beef,
I'll give him a bit of stick, to be fair. I'll take that one happily on the chin, because to see these boys...
Bliss have earned it. What a performance.
They absolutely
What a performance. As I said, coming in, you know, we did expect Wolves to win. You know, I'm not going to say any different, but ultimately, I love being proven wrong. I love eating my words, and that is what Bliss have just delivered. Absolutely unreal. You can see how close it was there. We don't have any 170, 180 EPSs. We're all down around that line, but they did a great job, almost all above average, and they've really stuck together as a team there. 12, 9, 10, 8, 8 across the board of kills for Bliss. Everybody has played their part. Fantastic stuff.
It's Wettables on the entry for me as well, up at 5-0.
5-0.
Absolute demon.
Difference maker.
Yeah, and on the other side, Mowgli, the only player really finding an entry, the rest of the team falling short. And I think looking at the stats for Wolves, it really epitomizes the questions that many have about this roster. When Mowgli and Deadshot don't deliver, even sometimes when they do, what can the rest of the team bring? And the answer in this series really has proven to be not a whole ton, unfortunately, unless we've seen Mowgli and Deadshot firing on all cylinders. They have struggled. On the other side, as you say, a balanced performance across the board. It's mad to think that Bliss are now one series away from playing in front of a Brazilian crowd. I'll be shocked if even that crowd can't get behind them, unless, of course, they're against a Brazilian team.
That might be a bit of an issue, but otherwise, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think they are the sort of team that people will just want to cheer on so long as they're not playing against their own team. Basically, we've got the summary there for the entire series, and we can see Wettables coming away with a very well-earned MVP there, particularly on the entry. 7-2 across the 2 maps, 28 to 22. Just great play from him. Mowgli has to have a shout. You know, has done done really well across on that other side. But those EPSs, they tell the story for Wolves. You've already picked up on it yourself. We can't, ignore it. We can't avoid it. Mowgli was a standout performer. We just needed a little bit more from everybody else. And I think it's fair to say that Bliss did a great job of stifling them. It's not necessarily down to the players. Bliss have done a great job to prevent them from getting up there.
And here you can see the 4 games that will take place tomorrow. We have 2 streams running still, 2 best of 3s on each. Sonics versus FaZe, DZ versus VP, W7M against SSG, and G2 against a team that many wouldn't have placed here. It's Bliss. That is a bonkers potential final bracket that we've got. Tomorrow that will come down to 6 teams, and they will be the ones that go through to our live stage.
We will have all of our answers by the end of tomorrow. What a day it has been. I want to take the opportunity to say commiserations to the 8 teams that we've lost today. You've all played your parts in a fantastic Six Invitational 2024 so far. You've done yourself proud, but the road has to come to an end somewhere, and it has for them. And to those who are still fighting, who are still looking to get to that arena, congratulations and keep on going.
I just love that we have a split across regions as well. It just really goes to show.
No idea who's going to win.
Many were fearful we'd come into this and see every single team on that live stage be Brazilian, all bar one. 5 teams that were here for them could have all made it, but no. Instead, we'll whittle down to the few that we've got, and it is going to be one hell of a close for Six Invitational. But of course, again, more games still to come tomorrow. That's us all done for here today, though. Again, tomorrow, 2 best of 3s on either stream, 4 in total. I can't wait to get back and watch them, Tim. It's been an absolute delight today.
Absolutely cannot wait. That's going to be my entire day tomorrow. We won't be covering any of them. We're happy to just sit back and watch, and we'll be cheering. We won't say for who, but for plenty of teams, I'm sure.
Well, that's it done for us. Then let's throw some highlights to wrap out the day. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night's rest, and see you bright and early in the morning.